Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Exeter Planning Board meeting on Thursday, March 13th, 2025, at 7 p.m. in Norwalk Room of the Town Office Building on 33rd Street, Exeter, New Hampshire. Please consider the following. We have minutes on the agenda first, but I'm going to give ourselves a little more time.
Yeah, give me a second, Lang, it just goes down.
I'll start all over here. Whole everything. That was rehearsal, yeah. All right.
I'll give you the signal, actually, wait.
All right,
Just that.
Go for it.
okay. Good evening. Sorry you didn't hear me the first time. This is I'm opening the meeting of the Exeter Planning Board on Thursday, March 13th, 2025, at 7 p.m. in the Norwalk Room of the Town Office Building, located at 10 Front Street, Exeter, New Hampshire, to consider the following. We usually start with minutes, but I'm going to delay those to after the cases to give us a little more time up front. So our next first item of continued public hearings is on the application of Green and Company with a site plan review and wetland conditional use permit, CUP, for a proposed mixed-use neighborhood development MUD project consisting of a townhouse development off Haven Lane with 32 three-bedroom units, a four-story mixed-use building on Portsmouth Avenue having 4,418 square feet commercial use on the first floor and 36 one-bedroom units above, and one separate duplex structure with three-bedroom units on Haven Lane, along with the associated site improvements. Sector property is located at 76 Portsmouth Avenue on the C2 Highway Commercial Zoning District, tax map parcel number 65-118, and is planning board case 24-8. And I would turn to Dave. Excuse me? Introductions. Yeah. Oh, I thought they knew us by now.
They probably do.
Lang Plummer, I'm chair of the board, and to my left.
Aaron Brown.
Nancy Belanger.
And
John Gruder.
Marty Kennedy.
Jen Martell.
and our town planner, Dave Sharples. Marty is an alternate, but he will be acting this evening. I think he will be stepping down from the first case. So I will ask him if he wishes to step down.
Yes, I'm going to, as I did the last hearing, I'm going to be recusing myself.
Thank you. So, what's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us working here? Okay. So, now I think I'm ready to have Mr. Sharples begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant has presented their proposal multiple times in front of the planning board on December 19th, where numerous comments and concerns were raised by the board and the abutters. Then a site walk was conducted on January 9th. The applicant returned to the board at the February 27th meeting for continued discussion, which was a couple weeks ago. As I previously noted to the board, the applicant did return to the Conservation Commission at their February 11th meeting and presented their redesigned plans. The commission voted that they had no objection to the wetlands CUP application and recommended 2 conditions of approval, and I included that memo from Chairman Dave Short dated February 12th in the last packet. Also, as noted at the last meeting, a second technical review committee was conducted on February 27th, the day of our meeting. the applicant has been provided with the comment letters from both UEI dated March 4th and the TRC dated March 5th, which are enclosed in your packet tonight. The applicant will be submitting revised plans and supporting documents to be reviewed at a subsequent planning board meeting. Tonight's meeting will be the continued public hearing, hopefully an opportunity for the board to engage in discussion with the applicant and ask any questions of them. And I also invited Jason Ford, as I indicated, from BHB, our third-party review traffic engineer, to be available via Zoom, and I just confirmed with IT that he is on and available. That's all I have for now, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Paige Libby with Jones and Beach Engineers. Here also tonight with me is Kim Hezavarshan, traffic engineer, as well as Jenna Green, Michael Green, and John O'Neill from the development team. So as Dave noted, we were here 2 weeks ago. The board started to kind of deliberate on traffic, but then was not able to complete the discussion. But we did get some good feedback on some other topics, and we did bring a slightly revised site plan tonight just to show you a little bit of progress that we made quickly here at the beginning before we get back into traffic on some of those topics. So I think some of the concerns that we heard were that some of the sizes of the buildings, the facade was too wide with some of the bigger buildings, especially the 7-unit. Which is this building here, which was previously building 3. So we were able to actually break that up into 2 buildings, a 4-unit and a 3-unit. And then the other change that we made as well was on any buildings that are 4 or more units, so this one and then these 3, we were able to add horizontal jogs in the buildings. These 2 kind of already had them, but we were able to add jogs to this building as well, so that'll kind of help to break up the facade of the front of those buildings. And then the other change that we made as well was we heard some concerns about maneuverability getting into some of these buildings that have no parking spaces in front of them, so especially buildings 2, and then this building up here, as well as this one. So what we were able to do is we were able to widen the road in those sections in order to create more turning radius for vehicles to get in and out of those garages, and also provide some space for them to start to back out without backing out directly into the travel lane. So that will hopefully address some of that concern as well. The other change that we made.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we don't have this printout, so could you tell us the building numbers? Because
Yes. Yeah, and I did actually bring some handouts of
Sorry to
those if you would
interrupt.
like them.
But it's really important to know what building you're talking about, and I can't see from here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and we will also be formally resubmitting, as Dave noted. We know that between this meeting and the last meeting, we didn't have time to actually make changes, submit, and have them be in your packets. But before the next meeting, you will receive formal copies of the full, complete plan set that shows this. So it is building,
I need one for Gwen. Thank you.
so the buildings that we've added the jogs to are buildings 2.
You want to share one?
Yes,
We can share one. I don't have any.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oops.
Thank you, sorry.
Thank you.
Paige.
Yeah, no worries.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, so now that you have those in front of you, the buildings that we've added the jogs to are 2, building 3, and then we did add some jogs actually to building 11 as well. There was 1 jog, but we've added a second one just to break that up even further since it's 5 units. So now our maximum width of a building is 5 units versus the 7 that we had previously. And then the second page of that attachment that Jenna just handed out is the revised architectural elevation. So we were able to take a look at some of these elevations, and on the buildings specifically that are close to some of the abutters on Haven Lane, we were able to drop the height of some of those units down to 30 feet tall instead of 35. So you'll see here, this is building, let me just turn on my sheet here. Building 8,
Building 8.
and then building 1. And building 11 is the other one. So the units that are closest to those abutters will be 30 feet tall. And again, these are preliminary. When we resubmit prior to our next meeting, we'll have a complete set of all of the elevations, because I know the board did want to see that as well. And it's hard to depict on these as well, the horizontal jogs in the building. It looks totally flat, but with the jogs that are shown on the site plan, that is how they will be constructed. So that'll add some additional depth as well. So those are the changes we've made so far. We do also have the Underwood letter that we've received, and we're working on addressing those comments that they had on some of the technical details, and we will be resubmitting. So the next topic that we wanted to get back into was traffic. So just as kind of a refresher, because I know some of the board members weren't here last time, we started to talk about the traffic memo, and the fact that Kim, our traffic engineer, has had conversations with Jason as well as town staff, and heard from the abutters about some of the existing traffic issues that exist in this neighborhood and along Portsmouth Ave as well. So we felt that it would better benefit the town if we propose to make some kind of a contribution toward doing some improvements of those areas versus spending that money to do a traffic study that's just going to tell us the issues that we're already aware of. We felt it would cause a bigger impact to the town to try to improve those scenarios that are already existing. So Dave kind of summarized that at the last meeting towards the end pretty well, so we wanted to just get back into that discussion.
Okay. Well, we have Jason Floyd on the,
We do, and I'm happy to go over and minimize this if we want Jason to be on the screen too.
Yeah.
Probably do.
Yeah?
so yeah, let's do that and focus on the driving situation, traffic pattern.
I watched the meetings.
I did.
Interesting discussion.
I don't know how to actually get him up.
Yeah, Gabe will do it.
Okay.
Hopefully he's listening. He's listening.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the planning board, Jason Plord with VHB.
Good evening.
And I'm here to be able to help address any kind of questions and concerns that you may have.
Okay. Could you provide us with an overview of where we're at with the traffic that you folks have done as a,
Yes, so we had reviewed Dr. Kim Hazavadian's traffic memo that he had put together dated November 5th, 2024. It generally provided trip generation information for the two parcels or the two phases of development, the one development along Portsmouth Ave and then the one development along Haven Lane. We had reviewed the information and the trip generation estimates and methodologies that Dr. Kim had put together and used were all in accordance with Institute of Transportation Engineers trip generation methodologies. And that's a standard engineering practice. I don't have any concerns with the methodology that he used to be able to generate the site trips for the development along Portsmouth Avenue and the one along Haven Lane. We did raise some concerns within our January 16th, 2025 peer review letter that was addressed to Mr. Sharples. And pretty much what it came down to was that although that in the traffic engineering world, a development of this size may not be exceeding the general thresholds that we would consider to be significant, and that would be anywhere between 50 and 100 vehicles per hour through an intersection. That's the general rule of thumb that the Institute of Transportation Engineers uses, as well as New Hampshire Department of Transportation. So although that the development in total would not be exceeding those thresholds, it comes down to the location of the development. And one of the big concerns that we had was the vehicle traffic along Portsmouth Avenue between the two signals, the one at Alumni Drive and the other at Green Hill Road. Those signals, as we know, they're outdated equipment, so they're not really talking with each other. So cars are typically stuck in between the intersections, which then create queuing beyond the intersections. And past the proposed driveway along Portsmouth Avenue. So that's just north of Alumni Drive. The other concern that we had identified was limited sight lines along Bonnie Drive at Green Hill Road and the offset intersection with Clover Street. So those were more of a safety kind of an evaluation and an item that we had identified. I did watch and listen to the prior planning board hearing, and there were some good questions and concerns that were raised by some of the residents. One of which was along Bonnie Drive at Haven Lane and how there's no stop sign there. That, and rightfully so, I believe Mr. Sharples was the one that identified that the select board would be the ones to be able to be involved with the hosting of any kind of signage. Just for the knowledge of the planning board, I would like to, I echo what Mr. Sharples had said. It is up to the select board. It's also, I would definitely recommend getting in touch with the Public Works Department, making sure that everybody's on the same page. But also to take it a step further, in accordance with the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, that's abbreviated as MUTCD, one of the ideas of placing a minor street approach under stop sign control is when one of the minor street approaches, so that would be along Bonnie Drive, has limited sight lines. So I believe that on the southwest corner of the intersection, so that would be to the left side of Bonnie Drive, if you were looking at anybody that was coming along Haven Lane from Fairway Drive. If there's limited sight lines over in that direction, then stop signs could be considered. My understanding is that on that corner, there's some vegetation, and that's probably on private property based on some very rough GIS information. So that I think that in a case like this, that stop sign control definitely could be considered on Bonnie Drive at Haven Lane. We had also identified the limited sight lines on Bonnie Drive at Green Hill Road. We know that that's a little bit of a odd intersection where you have Clover Street and Bonnie Drive coming in offset from each other and at angles. So it's really making sure that that intersection is going to be safe. It's not necessarily about the significant volume of traffic that would be developed or generated by the development, the residential development. It's really about the safety at that intersection. And that was another reason why that we had talked about upgrading the traffic signals, because if the signals are functioning properly, then the queues, even on the side streets, so like say Green Hill Road approaching Portsmouth Avenue, that vehicle queue might be reduced as well. And so it's really just trying to clear up that whole area to be able to make sure it's going to be safer in an aspect of sight lines and vehicle queuing, so it's not going to stack up that far back. But the information that Dr. Hazavadian had put together in his memo is in accordance with traffic engineering standards. And I also agree that we all know what the issues are out here along Portsmouth Avenue. So I'm in favor of if the board is open to a monetary contribution from the applicant rather than a traffic study being prepared and then me getting paid to review it. It's going to say the same things that I'm saying right now. There's already some problems out here along Portsmouth Avenue that need to be addressed. And if we have a developer that wants to contribute to improvements along the corridor, I'm not opposed to that. It's just a matter of making sure that on the side streets, so I'm talking about Bonnie Drive and Haven Lane, that the safety is going to be looked at as well.
Thank you. Any
You're welcome.
questions from the board?
I have a question.
Comments? Yes. Aaron?
Can you hear me, Jason?
Yes, I can. Yes.
I had, in your estimation, if the lights were properly coordinated, would the impact after development, full development of both phases, be better than the situation is currently?
I would say yes, and the reason for that is because it's not about the volume of traffic that this development would be generating, it's the location of the development. So even if you were going to be sending a minimal amount of traffic through an intersection, if that intersection is already operating with deficiencies, then it's already a problem, and just one more car is going to create a problem. So I think that based on the numbers that I had given you about the 50 vehicle to 100 vehicle per hour threshold, that's the general traffic engineering standard of 1A, development may have an impact at an intersection. This development would not be triggering those thresholds. So it's really all about the location of the project. So if this project was in another area of the town and it was not in a congested area or a safety deficient or operationally deficient area, then it really wouldn't be as much of a concern. Where this is, especially the development along Portsmouth Ave, it's all about vehicular progression along Portsmouth Avenue, but it's also about the safety along Haven Lane and Bonnie Drive for the residential component.
Okay, so I'm going to just make sure I heard you right. Right now, there's a problem, which anybody who lives in the town would recognize, including residents and abutters, but probably every resident in Exeter. So that problem, you're adding to an existing problem, and that's the reason you have a concern with it. That's, I think, what you're saying.
Correct.
So, however, if the problem is solved by properly queuing and coordinating and modernizing the traffic signal system, that problem as it exists today would be improved on what it is today, even after the addition of the additional vehicles generated by Phase 1 and Phase 2 build-out of this proposed development.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I have to be an active listener sometimes to make sure I speak.
Plus the stop signs at that complicated intersection.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just want to follow up with one part of this, just because we're talking Phase 2.
Use your microphone, please.
I am using my
Okay.
microphone.
Thank you.
Okay.
I can hear you fine.
Okay, thank you. The only concern I have, and that's why I'm so glad you're here, is because now I understand better about the traffic and the numbers and how you look at things. But my only concern is we're looking at Phase 2 being anywhere from 4 to 10 years away. And I know we can't look at what ifs or possibilities 10 years from now, but you feel pretty confident that with the current situation, the improvements that we're looking to, or we know need to happen on Portsmouth Ave, because we do have an existing problem on Portsmouth Ave, I agree. And we'll be looking at Portsmouth Ave as a town soon. You feel confident that 10 years out, what you're saying now would still pertain?
Well, there could be more development that occurs in the area, so it's kind of hard to predict what's going to happen in 10 years. But if we're just looking at the trips that are estimated to be generated by the development on Haven Lane and the development on Portsmouth Avenue, then it's really all about the vehicles blocking the driveway today.
Yes.
On Portsmouth Avenue, and any kind of cars that are not able to get off of Green Hill Road onto Portsmouth Avenue. So those are really the two areas of my concern because of the location of the development, not because of the traffic that's generated by the development. It's just the location of the development, and it would be adding to an existing deficiency.
Yeah, so thank you. And the reason for my question for people in the room is that the planning board's purview is the here and now. So I'm trying to make sure everybody understands, so 5 years from now or 10 years from now, you understand what the perimeters of our role is. So thank you, Mr. Paul.
Okay. Any other traffic questions? Anybody
I have a
The public
question.
is still open if you'd like to step up to this. And
I think Jen was going to ask you a question.
Oh, excuse me.
I have a question, Mr. Chair, and this, I don't know if this might go to Nancy, but I'm just curious how does this type of thing work? If an applicant gives the town money, I mean, it's not going to, there'll be negotiations, it's not going to pay for a project. So there's no guarantee coming out of that transaction that these improvements will happen anytime in the near future. Is there, like, how does that work?
So the first time I heard about this was at our last meeting.
Oh, okay.
I think Mr. Sharples is going to have to answer that because I wasn't part of that conversation. I don't know where that stands. It has not come before the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. I wish I could answer you.
But eventually it would. You
Oh,
have
it
to accept
absolutely
that money.
would.
There would have
We'd
to be
have to
something.
accept,
Okay.
the Select Board has to accept donations. But I don't know about this
Not a
kind.
donation, it would be an exaction that the planning board can impose upon the developer.
Okay,
That's done outside of the select board.
there you go.
And it's for improvements to, you know, to fix, well, in this case, it's fix existing issues. It was similar to what we did out on the Continental Drive. There was 2 developments that went in. They didn't necessarily trigger a light at Continental and Epping. That light was already warranted.
Yes.
So
Right.
we imposed exactions upon them, and they gave us money, and then we ended up putting in the light with the TIF funds. But what happens is they submit the money, we hold it in escrow until we do the project. Can I guarantee we're going to do the project? I can't predict the future. But when we hear a problem like that and we know these lights, I actually tried to go after some grant funding, but now that's up in the air, of signal coordination of all the signals along Epping Road. We know, Portsmouth Ave, we know we need to do it. It's in the Portsmouth Ave, is in the CIP. As a project to
That's
redo that.
what I
That
was
would
referring
include
to,
all
yeah.
sorts of coordination. So I guess I can't say for sure, but I'm very confident that Portsmouth Ave will be addressed in the midterm, probably in the time frame of what we're talking about here, of the second phase, I would imagine.
Because it's in the CIP, it has to be approved by the voters at some point.
Yeah.
So that's the part too that's up in the air.
Yeah.
But doing a signal coordination would not need voter approval. We could, well, yes,
Well, depends on the amount.
ultimately in an operating budget, it could be in the operating budget, it could be found somewhere. I mean, we could do that potentially outside of a warrant article. But the CIP is like and we're doing right now, we're doing a complete street study. We just hired Rockingham Planning Commission. We just signed a contract with them a couple of months ago. And they're gonna look at Portsmouth Ave. And before we'd want to do anything out there, we'd want to figure out, have a complete streets policy in place and kind of understand, at least basic from a concept design, what would we be doing out there?
Yeah, and just to follow up, Jen, as the select board is hearing about this for the first time when I give my reports when we have our meetings. It hasn't been before the select board.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think I just, I feel like if I lived in this neighborhood and was experiencing these things and this was the sort of workaround, I would want some confidence in knowing, I think it's helpful to hear, yes, Portsmouth Avenue's in the CIP for what year? Do you remember? I don't remember off the top of my head.
29?
Okay. So,
At this point.
yeah.
But that's a whole other project.
It is.
So signal coordination, you're talking stop signs on Bonnie and Haven, and the four-way stop, like people mentioned, or something with the Bonnie
Yeah,
greening.
that seems like that could happen quick.
Yeah, well, that's select
Okay.
board. The planning board could kind of make a recommendation, but the planning board can't require that. That's select board, police department, DPW would collaborate on that to determine what is needed out there. And they could do that.
Now, so
Yeah,
has the DPW weighed in on this yet? This conversation, this part of it?
No.
Okay, so that's a step, okay.
No, not at this point. I would say we would, the planning board could recommend that to get that ball rolling, and get
Okay.
that started. But it is an existing issue, and what Jason, I believe, is saying is, the additional traffic isn't significant. Obviously, you add one car to a problem, and it can be more of a problem.
Right, right.
But the
Yeah, that's the other thing, is I feel like we're saying, well, it's already a problem. This is, removing this project is not going to fix the problem. Yes, we know that, but adding more traffic to the problem is going to exacerbate the problem, I think is
The concern.
that's the logic that is going through my brain, like, it's,
Yeah, on that logic, though, then you don't allow any development on Portsmouth Ave until the lights are fixed? So it doesn't
not saying
really,
that.
Yeah,
I'm
really.
not saying that,
Well-
I'm
that's the extension of that train of thought. So I do think we have to tie a condition of a proposed approval with a solution to the lighting issue. That's, I think, what Jen is talking about. And that's a pretty important part. And I'm not sure if we can tie those loose ends together, Dave, but I'm sure we probably could. Any idea of the cost of that coordination at all?
Jason?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know that number off the top of my head. It would have to involve opening up the signal cabinets to find out what equipment's in there, and then being able to figure out, there's different kind of load switches and everything like that, and different equipment that you have to look at. It may be really outdated equipment. It may just need a little fine tuning. It depends on what's in the cabinets to be able to allow them to talk with each other.
Okay.
So that would
Depends on
be
the
good to
cookies in
know.
the cookie jar, huh?
We can try, I mean, I can work on that.
I think it would be
Between now and the
good if
next
we
meeting.
could. I mean, real important, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, understood.
Yeah.
If it could be fixed easily, it would have been done by now, right? It was.
No,
Oh, I don't know
necessarily.
necessarily.
Yeah, it would
How long
be
you
on
lived in
a to-do
Exeter,
list.
John?
There's a lot of low-hanging fruit.
No, well, we have to pay for things, and we have to put them on a to-do list, right? That's always getting reprioritized. So we do the best we can with what we've got, and if it's going to cost a certain amount of money, we have to put it in the budget, so.
The other thing, Dave, I'd like to clarify, if we work on this solution and we impose an exaction on the applicant, I'm going to assume those funds have to be spent towards this solution.
Yes, you have to identify it for a specific purpose. I mean, it doesn't have to be too specific, just like Riverwoods gave us an exaction a long time ago, and it said for public safety use. So it was specific in that it was for public safety use, but it was broad because it was public safety use. It
Yeah.
wasn't buying, scuba equipment for
Right.
for the fire department.
Sure.
It wasn't something very narrow, so.
Okay, thank you. I think you had an audience person.
Okay, you had something to say, please.
I actually believe most of my questions were answered, but I do also want to say a lot of this is going back to Portsmouth Ave. And I'm glad we're looking at that because this is a good discussion. But we're saying that the traffic isn't going up that much in this small neighborhood on Bonnie and Haven. But between those two streets, Bonnie and Haven, which essentially dead end back there, all residents going home and living there, there are fewer fewer homes, which are 3-bedroom homes, so comparable to the units going in, than there are in just phase 1 of this. So as soon as there's phase 2, not only have we doubled, but then we've tripled the number of cars going in there. So maybe it's not significant in terms of this study, but it's tripling the number of cars coming home to our neighborhood. That's all. Thank you.
Except
May-
that next phase will be
The next phase doesn't access Bonnie.
Portsmouth Ave.
Okay.
Phase 2 is
Well, this
completely onto
phase-
Portsmouth.
Phase 1 wasn't supposed to either, but now it is. So how do we know what's really going to happen?
Well, it's what's approved. What is proposed is what is approved. They don't change that.
Okay,
If
but originally the
this
entrance
plan,
to this project, phase 1, was on Portsmouth Ave. Am I
it was
wrong?
on both. It went
Okay.
through from Portsmouth Ave to Bonnie, Haven. And,
Okay.
and the neighborhood didn't want that because it said it would be a cut through, so they kind of
Okay.
divided it.
Okay.
I think the point you're making is valid, obviously, that there will be an impact
Yes.
significant to the abutters.
Yes.
But it's not significant in terms of traffic
In terms of a
engineering.
national traffic study,
Right.
numbers, it's insignificant.
Yeah, if I live on a dead-end road and I'm the only home and there's another home that goes in next to it, we just doubled the traffic. So, I mean, yes, I get it.
So you can relate.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir?
Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Jason, for
You
being
can
here.
move the
Board.
mic up
push
if
it
you'd
up.
like. There you go.
Thank you, Jason, for being here, the board, and for Grid Company. So, Jason, I'm doing some active listening too, like Aaron. You said 80 to 100 cars for an intersection? I just want to, was that the number that was?
I think he said 50.
50th.
50 to 100 is the general rule of thumb for an increase of traffic through an intersection.
Okay. Is that number universal? It doesn't matter if it's a town like Exeter or a city like Lawrence or?
No, so that's just a general rule of thumb that we use in the traffic engineering world, and it's documented by the Institute of Transportation Engineers and by New Hampshire DOT. The one caveat is that if there's already a deficient intersection, so cars, delays, queuing, and safety, that threshold gets thrown out the window.
Okay. Okay, so I guess my question is, does factor in that the town is older, the streets are narrower, that doesn't factor into that kind of standard formula, that math, or?
So I did take a look at some aerial imagery along Bonnie Drive and Haven Lane as far as comparing the widths, and this is just very rough aerial imagery measuring, comparing the widths of Bonnie Drive and Haven Lane to the town standards. And the widths do exceed the town's minimum standards that are listed within the site plan review and subdivision regulations, as well as the town standard specifications for construction of public utilities. And that minimum width is 24 feet. And both the paved areas of Bonnie Drive and Haven Lane are both above that 24-foot width.
Okay, thank you, Jason.
Any other questions for Jason?
Yes, I got one. Luis Franceschi from 36 Haven Lane. I got a question about the second phase of the project. We're talking about, we have right now a problem with the traffic signals, sorry. But if we move into the second phase is out of the traffic signals. So I don't know if you guys have been working over there and seeing how problems the cars coming out of 30 Moose has. We have a big accident the day before the last meeting. And if we having who knows how many units to that point, they will be trying to go both ways, one going north, one going south. So that will be crossing Portsmouth Avenue where there's no traffic lights. The traffic go to jam in there. Doesn't make any sense. You will be fixing the lights, but you will have a future nightmare.
It's a tiny town.
It's a tiny town with one single road.
Excuse me, Jason, you considered traffic from the big building on Portsmouth Ave in your review? So you're
Correct.
talking about vehicles entering from that site onto Portsmouth Ave, I believe.
Correct. So there were no, what we usually do is we usually put together a site-generated network. So it's like a stick figure diagram that shows the traffic volumes for the development that are turning in and out and what direction they're going in. So those were not provided. So it was just the tabulated results of the site trips for the development on Portsmouth Avenue and the development on Haven Lane. So those estimates are all provided within the November 5th, 2024 traffic assessment that Dr. Kim Hazavadian had put together.
And synchronizing the signals will help that entrance function.
So that was really one of my big concerns was about the cars that are stacking up along Portsmouth Avenue, and they may at times extend back to their site driveway. So what does that mean? That means that people might not be able to turn left in, they might not be able to turn left out, they wouldn't be able to turn right out. So 3 of the 4 movements at the driveway would be limited when the cars are stacked up from the signal at Alumni Drive. And I was also concerned with the signal over at Green Hill Road at Portsmouth Avenue because the residential traffic, the proposed residential traffic on Haven Lane would then be trying to get onto Portsmouth Avenue and be stuck at that signal as well. So that's why it's almost like 2 different major access points to Portsmouth Avenue right near 2 signals. And they would be problem. It's already a problem today, and it would only exacerbate the condition out there today. So there needs to be a solution. And my understanding is that if these traffic signals are updated with the right timing and equipment, and they can essentially synchronize with each other and be coordinated, then the traffic volumes along the corridor would be able to be progressed throughout the whole system, and then not be able to queue as far back as they are today, or even get stuck in between the two signals.
Thank you.
So then the recommendation might be that we do this first, do the traffic analysis, sync them, get new equipment, update that, do another traffic analysis. We've mitigated it, continue, right? Before we go building, is that a plan we're doing? No, that's not what we're doing.
I can only speak for myself. I think that would be, we wouldn't need all those traffic analysis. You need one, if at all.
So-
And for me, last meeting, I had concerns about whether or not I felt we needed a traffic analysis, but my concerns, I understand more now.
Sure.
And for me, again, I'm only speaking for myself, I'm a select board representative to this. When I do my report on Monday night, one of the questions I'm going to ask the board is whether we need to wait for the planning board to give us, not permission, but for the planning board to recommend, request, the select
Okay.
board start looking into synchronizing those lights.
Yeah, it's more of a procedure question. so
It
you-
absolutely
Yeah,
is.
okay.
And also to fix some of the intersections, what it's going to take in cost.
Okay.
To work on at least the immediate safety issues
Right.
that currently exist in that neighborhood.
Okay, so the process wouldn't be, you would do
So
another
for me, the
analysis
traffic
after, right?
analysis
Okay.
is a moot at this point for
Yeah.
me.
No, I mean, after the fixes are made, is another traffic analysis done, or
I,
to make sure that what is done is actually working?
Probably not.
Wow,
There's probably not going to be one in front of this project either.
wow.
this project would like.
Getting one right now.
Yeah, software development, you test and retest. You know, you just do keep releasing bugs, which we can't afford to do, right? So I'm just wondering, like, after you do a mitigation process, okay, we've done it, kick the tires, did it work? Yes, it worked. Green Company, we're good. Haven Lane, we're good. Rock and roll.
Oh, I see what you're saying, but
Yeah.
if I could, I think it's because once a project's approved,
Mm-hmm.
we can't bring this developer back to tweak things unless it's done, not done in the spirit of the approval.
Understood.
Did that,
Okay.
do you understand? I don't know if I said that
You did. I understand
accurately for
exactly
you to
what you mean. I do.
understand. Right, I don't
Okay.
want to misspeak, but yeah.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Jason.
Mr. Chair, may I weigh in on that about the traffic study for the coordination?
Sure. Yes, please.
So typically what happens is that when a traffic signal project is being prepared, so you have to put together plans to make sure you have the right timing parameters for both signalized intersections. In order to be able to have the timing parameters, you need the traffic volumes. So the traffic volumes that are out there today are going to be taken into consideration, as well as any developments that are proposed or approved but not yet constructed in the area. So that design process of putting together the traffic signal plans, finding the right equipment, would all also take into consideration the operations of the intersections, so you need the traffic volumes. So that would be a separate study that would be done, not necessarily by this development, but a traffic study would be done to be able to make sure that the right timing parameters are set into the cabinets.
Awesome. Thank you,
Okay.
Jason.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the town would be paying for that traffic study? Is that? Yeah, okay.
Well, it's like the gentleman was talking about, just reviewing the functionality of the installed equipment. It's part of the whole process.
But it would be a traffic study that would have to get paid for, right?
It's an analysis, yeah. It is a study, but it's not really a separate study, and it really does not specifically relate to this project. It's, once you install equipment, you need to see if it's working,
Yes.
tweak it.
Aaron, that's why I said that. So I'm just trying to make sure I understand the town would have to pay for that. So
Somebody's
that-
paying for it.
Well, it would be the town,
The taxpayers.
which is the town.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
Thank
can't
you.
tell.
Well, but we're, in theory, the extraction, so
Contributed.
Exaction would pay for some
Exaction.
portion of it. We
Yeah.
don't know what portion
If
of it.
it's worded that way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
which
No,
is an
ma'am.
existing problem the town should be dealing with right now, which we all recognize, I think. You know, it's part of, it's definitely, and I do think there is, in the master plan, there is the intention to do further infill development on Portsmouth Ave. So it's kind of overdue in a way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for existing condition and the proposed future direction of the town. So that certainly is going to happen in the near future, I think, regardless of this project.
Yeah, yeah.
Agreed, it needs to
Right.
happen.
It
It's in the
needs to happen.
CIP.
It's just
We
when
it's similar to what we did on Epping Road. We did a Epping Road corridor study. We're out there making improvements as we speak. You know, it's going to start up here soon again to do the widening. We added a traffic light, and that focuses on Portsmouth Ave too, because those are really the two major commercial corridors with quite a bit of traffic every day, and Portsmouth Ave more than Epping Road, as far as numbers wise.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's definitely should be on our radar screen. And we've been moving forward, you know, with it, but you can't do everything
Right.
townwide at once.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now,
Priority.
I've been sitting on pins and needles.
I know.
I'm
Heavens.
Susan Taylor, I live on Haven Lane, and we keep discussing the lights that are at Green Hill and the one at Dunkin' Donuts. And I will tell you, the cabinet was hit at Dunkin' Donuts a month ago, so that's why the problem we're having with the traffic again. I drive a bus for the town of Exeter, so I'm through those lights constantly.
Did you
on a
hit
daily
it?
basis. Did not. However, it's not just two sets of lights that the concern is. It's the one on High Street, and it goes
Oh,
all the
yes.
way through to downtown.
Yeah.
Your
It
traffic,
does.
because of pedestrians, it backs up from downtown, and I'll tell you, when I drive a bus and I get past downtown, the bandstand, it's like, yes. However, it backs all the way up, and I drive all the way to McDonald's and turn myself around and
Yeah.
hit it all over again. So when it comes to the set of lights, is it not just going to be those two? I'm not saying they're responsible for it. Will they all be lined up time-wise? High Street lights, Green Hill, Dunkin' Donuts, which goes all the way to McDonald's. The backup is incredible, normally, without adding all of what's going to be coming on Portsmouth Avenue and Haven Lane. Just a thought. Has nothing, I mean,
I
Very
I get
true.
it, but
Yeah.
hopefully,
I deal with it too every day. So I've been
Sure.
talking about this for I
the
don't know how
hope
many years.
is that
So
they'll
yeah,
all be
Trying to get
in
people
same
to listen.
consecutive, because nothing's moving. Nothing moves.
Between 3 to 6, sometimes 6:30.
And when you get a holiday, forget it. So, okay, that's my.
Anyway, thank you.
Nope.
We just got off. But
Existing
Thank you for-
condition.
No, thank you. Good to hear someone else talk about it.
It even goes up past the hospital on High Street and sometimes all the way up the top of the hill. Yeah.
So before you ask your question, could I just ask Jason one more question while I'm thinking of it? So
Yes.
Jason, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry, I should have asked you.
I thought that was.
No, I just saw her at the mic and I didn't want
Thank you.
to interrupt her. So one of the thoughts that occurred to me, and I'm not sure if it has any merit, but if we can correct the timing of the lights, especially between Alumni Drive and Green Hill, where Walgreens is, and get that traffic moving better, I guess you probably can't answer this because it's probably theoretical, that people wouldn't be so frustrated getting backed up in that area and keep cutting through or using the J.D. Hill roads more, which might actually possibly alleviate some of the drive-through traffic if the flow happens better? I know, that's a really hypothetical question, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, you know, one of the biggest things right now is that I just know that if I'm driving along a certain route and I have a choice to be able to divert from a congested area, then, you know, the GPS might tell me to go a different route. If we can fix this problem, this is only one step in the overall problem. As you just heard, the young lady that was speaking before, the bus driver along the corridor and all the different issues with the signals. This is just one part of the overall corridor study that needs to be evaluated. I think that if we can fix these two signals, I think that will certainly help this area. It doesn't mean it's going to fix all of the areas. It doesn't mean that it's going to fix the whole corridor. It just at least takes one step forward into finding the solution.
Thank you. I really threw that one at you, didn't I? Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Your turn.
Thank you. My name is Kathy Boudreau. I live on Bonnie Drive. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I just want to talk about, so we deal with the traffic on Green Hill and all the traffic that comes into Walgreens, and then all the traffic that cuts through our neighborhoods. Well, when the parking ban is up, all of our neighbors also park on the streets. Our kids are playing in the streets. So now we're talking construction trucks coming down. There's a lot of times, only one car can get down the road at a time. And we do have a lot of other neighbors that park trailers on the street or other vehicles on the street. So my concern is, one, where are the kids going to play? Another is, we have so many people who walk through our neighborhood. I know the other day I came home at 5 o'clock and I saw 10 people on our street walking. And not just on Bonnie Drive. So I'm just thinking about all that construction, and you're talking 30, 34 units in, 2 cars per unit. That's a lot of people coming down Bonnie and Haven to go to that entrance. So I'm just trying to look at the big picture. So thank you for your time.
Of course, remember, they don't all come at once, but they are all going to come.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions from the board about traffic? I think we're pretty well comfortable with Jason being with us.
I have a question. I was just
Go ahead.
I had watched,
He's here now.
missed a couple meetings, so I was watching them, Nancy, and I was very confused by, so I want to make sure I
You were
understood.
confused.
Yeah, by your concern about Phase 2
What
on
about it?
Portsmouth Ave,
Mm-hmm.
the impact on Portsmouth Ave of Phase 2. And was that mostly related to the timing of the potential
No, my
build-out?
my comment on Phase 2 was whether we can approve something, a Phase 2 so far out. My concern, as far as traffic goes, was we have a very large underutilized parking lot, and we're going to put a walking bridge now that connects Phase 1 and Phase 2, and my question was about the parking that would happen once Phase 1 was done. And if that parking lot would be utilized for overflow parking for
From
Phase 1.
Phase 1, okay. Okay.
And the answer is no.
The answer is no, because
Private
the
property, they do not
Yeah, it's a
want it.
commercial.
lease E
Yeah.
Right.
is in control of that parking lot and would maintain that it was only for their business. That's what I was told at the last meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
It is an underutilized parking lot, though. I mean, it does seem
absolutely
like
is.
a...
And that, so when I saw that the footbridge was added,
Right.
my concern was, why is that footbridge added?
Right.
And if it's so that people can park in that parking lot and walk over the footbridge for access to that new neighborhood, how much, do we have numbers on how that could affect Portsmouth Ave at the moment?
Okay.
That was where that came from.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're
She's
welcome.
thinking out of the box a little bit.
Well,
Which is good.
it's a
Yeah.
possibility.
Yeah.
So I guess the other part of that, this isn't a parking thing, but is on the phasing approval and the timing. Have we had an elaborate discussion about that?
We have not yet.
Not yet, no.
Not yet.
But I want to make sure we're finished with Jason so he can
Okay.
go have his afternoon snack. So I believe we're all set, and I want to thank Jason for being with us this evening.
Yes,
Cleared up a lot
Thank
of
you,
things
Jason.
for us.
Very helpful.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Okay. Where are we now? Look at the latest modifications on the plan, or do we have other questions about the plan that we need to deal with?
I have one.
Oh, come on up. Come on. Come on up to the mic, please.
We probably need to discuss.
Hello, Christina Tyndall from 12 Bonnie Drive. I know you brought up Nancy's comments that kind of ended the last meeting. And I don't know if now is the right time to ask a question, but I'm just curious. This whole project seems to be permitted because of MUND, which is the mixed use. And it's just going back to your point from the very end of last meeting, which is this whole project seems like it's putting the cart before the horse in a way. They're building these residential units, but the whole commercial part is a big question mark 4 to 10 years down the road.
There's an existing commercial use now.
Okay, but
It's already-
but nobody's looking at phase 2 and.
We are looking at phase 2. There's an
Okay.
existing
But
commercial
I
use
guess-
now.
I guess
So there's no
the phase
cart before a horse when there's an existing commercial use now.
Okay.
But there's no housing, we're not
Yeah.
seeing any plans yet, I think is what the point is. Right, we haven't seen anything.
But we're not even able to sit here and discuss like phase 2 of the project because it's that far down the road. But in the meantime, this disconnected neighborhood, which is now coming through Haven, while the commercial sits on Portsmouth Ave at literally a different address.
They can bring it through Portsmouth Ave.
Okay.
The
it
neighborhood
just
has
seems very-
expressed they don't want that, and that has been,
I understand and I agree, I don't want that.
Okay.
I'm just saying the whole project just kind of seems disconnected and like, okay, we're giving you the go-ahead because you happen to have this commercial spot already there, but, okay, go ahead and build your units and then we'll talk about phase 2 after. I understand there are plans for phase 2, but we don't even know if it will definitely happen because the lease.
Phase 2 is part of one application.
Okay,
So we are discussing that. That's on the table as much
Okay.
as anything else.
okay,
Yep.
thank you.
yeah, you can
So
bring it
it's a
up.
good point you
You
bring it
can
up, yes.
discuss it. You can discuss it.
Excuse me.
We'd have to.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Step up to the microphone, please.
I think the comment I made, along with a few others, was that we wanted to make sure we could approve a project
That's-
where the phase was so far out. Yeah, yeah.
Hi, I'm Noel. I'm on 11 Bonnie Drive, which you never show our building on, and we're in a butter. And I kind of feel offended by that because we butt up on most of the property on Bonnie Drive. And I would appreciate if you include a fence, like I've mentioned before. My question is, when did the wetlands, 6.7 acres of wooded wetlands become commercial property? Because when we voted for Article 3, it stated that a commercial was going to be built on Portsmouth Ave. It never said anything about tearing down wetland woods behind Portsmouth Ave to build a property.
Are you asking when this property was zoned commercial?
Yes.
It was zoned commercial, I mean, I've been here for 9 years, and when I got here, it was zoned commercial all the way to Bonnie and Haven. This parcel has always been commercial.
Really?
I can't tell you how long before that.
Okay, I was just curious
Yeah,
because it
it's-
just seems like a wetland doesn't seem to be a commercial property. That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
What's the other one? And I also want to get back to my son and my daughter-in-law and I's concerned about the water. Even in your plans, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, I really am not. You even mentioned that there is problems with the drainage. You have them highlighted in pink and on your plans from, I think, January. And I want to know who's going to be liable if we do have water issues. Please. That's why I asked.
Please introduce yourself.
I think what she's referring to on the plan.
Introduce yourself, please.
Michael Green.
Thank you, Mike.
I think what she was referring to on the plan is during conservation, there were things highlighted in pink and yellow and orange and green.
Yes.
That isn't wetland, those were buffers. It wasn't about drainage, it was about how close we could build into certain zones.
That's correct. I'm going to pull the plan back up.
Okay.
So you're saying that,
It's not 6.7 acres of wetland.
no, I'm not, no, in your pink, that this is separate from the 6.7.
Got to bring that up.
Yeah, I have to use the clicker. Sorry.
Either way, we know that it's wetlands. And if there's, so if we get, when you build on it, yes, you leave, oh, right here, all this pink, and it looks up here and it says poor drainage or something to that effect. I can't read the blur.
I can't read it either.
I think what you're referring to is it talks about very poorly and poorly drained soils.
Right.
So, but the colors that are shown are not very poorly or poorly drained. It's just buffers to that. So the town has different buffers based on what the soils are.
Crow's
So
feet.
this is
The
not
crow's feet are what you want to look at, ma'am.
No.
This is poorly drained.
Yeah.
And this is.
The wetland itself.
So,
This, see these little
right,
match
so
marks?
this is all against our land. So when they put all these buildings on there, where's the water that was originally going to be sitting in there after a big rain or that huge snowstorm that we got that has melted a ton of snow? Where is it, where it's not going to have a place to go anymore because they have all these buildings? It's going to be draining here, is what I'm thinking. And that's a potential for water damage. And I'm curious, if that happens, who's going to be liable?
They have to have a stormwater plan that maintains the water on their property and does not go to other property, which will require a variety of techniques to manage the stormwater. Some are vessels that are underneath the ground, some are ponds, some are trees, some are porous pavement, which they're using, which is like a pie that the water goes through slowly and filters back into the earth. So there's a variety of systems that are used in any project. And just to point out as a little note here that about 90% of the projects that come to the board have wetlands.
Okay.
And we have to deal with them. So this is not new to us.
Okay.
And the
It's to me.
Conservation Commission has reviewed this very thoroughly and made recommendations. So we tend to follow their recommendations. So good question, really, true.
Okay.
And it's obvious concern, no question about it. You know, wherever you go in Exeter, I don't care if it's high or low, there's going to be wetlands right next door.
Okay.
It's just the way it is.
All right, and again, I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, it's just a concern that we've been having.
Yeah.
And I want to iterate, please give us a fence. You know, we have this huge buffer now, and you're taking it away, which it's going to help with the noise and the light, and, you know, I would really appreciate if you include, my chain broke. I'm sorry, guys.
Just which lot are
okay.
you? Which lot are you again?
We're right here, they never,
Oh, got it. Okay, right there. All right.
11 Bonnie. Thank you, Brian. I'm sorry for taking up
Oh,
your time.
don't worry,
that's
just
fine.
do what you need to do.
Oh, that's why.
There he goes.
Thank you.
Poor thing.
I really am trying to be a good neighbor. I'm trying to get along with you, okay?
Well,
Where do you come from?
you keep it. It's part of the land.
Ryan O'Brien, 20 Haven Lane.
That would
My
be-
question's probably more for Greening Company. Has to do with the phasing and the walkway.
Could you get a little closer to the microphone?
Sorry.
Don't want our friends at home to miss a minute.
Sure. So my question is more about the phasing and the walkway, which I believe is required by the MUN to facilitate pedestrian traffic to Portsmouth Ave. And so my understanding from Greening Company is that the auto parts store has complete control over the parking lot. So if we add a walkway, are people going to be allowed to cross the?
Yeah, as long as we're not affecting their parking.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
If nothing else, that'll be a condition the board sets. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I see a smiley face back there. Come on up.
You a game show host in another life?
Excuse me?
Were you a game show host?
No. Just try to keep levity here.
Come on down.
I like smiley faces.
Good evening. Michael Hauk and Danielle Frank from 31 Haven Lane. We appreciate the changes that we see since the last meeting. We'll hold off comment on until we see a new packet come out, but we do have a couple of questions for you guys.
Yeah, again, thank you for the updated plan teaser. You've been very responsive to the comments.
Please get closer to the microphone, thank you, so I can hear you.
You've been very responsive to neighborhood comments, and we appreciate it. We have one question for the board and one for the developer. The question for the developer, or I guess maybe it is for the board, sorry. As it stands today, neither the abutters nor the board have images of the new buildings within the neighborhood. And we were hoping the board could request in the next set of drawings include overlay renderings of both phases of the project. And we wanted to request 4 views, standing on Haven Lane with our homes in the foreground and the development in the back. Same thing from Bonnie with the Bonnie homes in the front and the development in the back. And then out on Portsmouth Avenue, a view from Portsmouth Avenue with Federated in place, the townhomes in the background, and then the completed project with the Mund building in the front and the townhomes in the back.
I think that's a reasonable request for the board as well, so you can do that. Riverwoods did that for us.
They did a nice job.
They did a very nice
It
job.
does
yeah.
help.
Does help, yes.
Thank you. And we're aware that after the last meeting that construction hours are not under the purview of the planning board, but we would like to request that you understand that construction is permitted 15 hours a day and does include forest clearing and construction 7 days a week for a projected 2 years or more just for phase 1. And we're hoping that you would make a recommendation to the select board that they grant our petition request to limit construction hours for the project.
Dave, is that something we do, or do we ask them to get on the...
Well, the planning board's free to make a recommendation to the select board.
Yeah.
I think the select board's responsibility is to, I don't think you should, in my personal opinion, pin it on one person. It's like if they're going to change the hours, they should change them townwide.
Yes, yeah.
So if they want to 8 to
keep the
5
rules
hours,
of the
then they
game
should do
consistent,
that.
yes.
And not, I'd be very hesitant
Not
to
do
say.
it project to project, you mean? Is that what?
No, I mean, we've never done that. Like, you get into administrative gloss, which is a legal term that if you treat something in one way for so long, even if, and then you change it
Make an
for someone
exception,
else,
yeah.
you can get into that. So that it feels like that, like you should treat everyone the same, like in
This is not without
construction.
precedence in New Hampshire, so that is one of the reasons why the neighborhood is requesting it.
I wouldn't doubt that it might have been done somewhere else in New Hampshire, but I'm not
Seabrook.
sure it's.
In Seabrook specifically,
Yeah,
very recently.
Yeah, I see a lot of things in New Hampshire that I.
Do everything in Seabrook.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would recommend, like,
And this is
I'd be
my
hesitant.
first time dealing with it. Wouldn't the new clubhouse in your neighborhood was approved? That was not even a part of it. So, but our town planner is making a very good point. So it's for the board as a whole to decide. All I can do is add to my report. And so that they have a chance to think about it and get memos from department heads and things like that.
And then I can talk, because sometimes I can talk with the development team, because if they have no interest in ever doing weekends, then maybe they'll agree to it. But, so I think that's probably a good path forward that I will discuss and see.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I see somebody else on this project. Yes.
Hi, it's Lisa Medlock, 11 Haven Lane. My concern is, will our old streets handle 2 years of heavy construction equipment going up and down those two little streets for how many hours it takes to take care of this big project in a small space? And will it affect our homes, the rumbling of these heavy equipment going up and down these streets for 2 years? Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, I know part of the thing that I would assume there's going to be some blasting with the project, Mr. Green? Do you think you need blasting, or?
Don't think we hit.
No?
No.
Because if there's, no, you don't think so?
We did a lot of test pits, we didn't hit anything.
Really? Nice.
It's New Hampshire.
A lot of clay, yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna talk.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, those water engineers found a rock under the river.
so typically, if there is blasting, they have to do a pre-blast survey, and they go around homes and they look at, you know, they get foundation and water, although you have probably sewer and well and public water. I don't think anybody has wells out there, right? So, and if there's a real concern, they can do a similar pre-construction survey, and the town usually does a pretty good job at making sure that the public roads don't get trashed in the middle of construction and
mud.
Yeah, the workers roll on, and the town has to rebuild a road. That I have not seen that happen in town. So I think we generally are on top of that. If there's any damage, it gets repaired as part of the process. So.
Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's Steve Taylor. I live on 30 Haven Lane with the bus driver.
The young lady.
The young lady.
Oh, now it comes out.
I want to thank you for calling her a young lady.
Chapter 14.
Who's Jason Ford?
This might have been brought up at the last meeting, but I wanted to bring it up again, and that was the entrances here and here, about fitting the fire truck and getting in the loop to get to the buildings. And there was a concern about, my back is killing me. There was concern about the parking and it possibly constricting the fire truck access getting in there. And a big concern is the angle that it comes in at on those two entrances. That was my question. I'll be back.
I think you probably get
Yeah, I
better
can
prepared
speak
than
to
I.
that. We do have truck turning plans in the plan set, which show a fire truck coming in, making that turn, and then being able to exit. And we did show the parking striping in front of the units. That won't actually be striped, but it's there. That came up early on at TRC just to depict that cars could be parked there and it won't interfere with a fire truck.
Okay, but you were going to reach out to the fire department as of our last meeting. Has that happened?
Yes, we have reached out to the fire department. I've not heard back.
Okay, that's what I was, okay, I don't have
Yeah, I think
anything on
I
that, so.
don't think they had any further concerns about the truck. The main reason we were going to reach out was regarding the hydrant location. That came up at TRC. I mean, we
Yes.
can certainly
Yeah.
confirm with them again, but.
It was also the need, why is there a need for that extra exit entrance? And it was, you said it was because of fire trucks, school buses,
Yes.
and deliveries.
Correct.
But no one had any information on what the fire department's
That was
position was, so,
That was a request of the fire department at TRC.
okay. Well, there's no meeting minutes, so we don't, okay.
Stay tuned.
Okay.
Yeah, Jason was concerned about, Jason Fretz, the deputy fire chief at the TRC, was concerned about the original plan. They had to kind of, get in, and then it was difficult to get back out. And then there was a suggestion made to loop it. And then
To
they
loop
came
it
back
for
in.
that, so, and then, but it started with my question on whether or not that extra entrance exit could be gated and only used for fire apparatus, like we have at Sterling Hill. That was what started that conversation, if I'm not wrong.
applicant, so.
Okay.
I could reach out to have a further discussion with Jason.
Yeah, that's literally what started that part of the conversation was my question
No, I
on
recall that, and I think we took a look at that after the meeting. We really don't think it's feasible, because previously, before we added the second access, we kind of had an internal loop, so somebody could come in this way, loop back around, and then get back out. But if we gate one of these accesses, if like a FedEx truck comes in, there's nowhere for them to pull up, back out, and turn around if all the parking spaces are taken. So because of this particular layout with the two entrances, now there's no internal loop to allow for that to happen. So it would have to be, the gate would have to be accessible to, everyday type of traffic, like a FedEx or a UPS type of truck as well.
Would it be one way?
You'd have to go up to the mic to ask. Sorry, you can go back
I
up.
can ask it for you. Would it be one way?
This is currently not designed as one way, this is two way.
Thank you. All right, now you got to go up.
Well, it's school
Just
school
a
bus can
curious
get around
question,
there.
because we've been in the neighborhood for 28 years, and when the fire truck, probably about 25 years ago, tried to maneuver in that corner, because we live straight on number 30, that fire truck went round and round and round the neighborhood. And that is like the widest area. And if you've been through the neighborhood, I do park my bus in front of my house during the daytime. And I was told that any cars, which we have a guy that parks his trailer on the road on Bonnie Drive 9 months out of the year, doesn't take it off the road. That corner for a straight truck, bus, will never go in your neighborhood, just to let you know. However, a fire truck is so, especially the extended ladder truck, to take that right turn, I mean, they're gonna have to try it. They got the maneuver going up and around, because it's a straight truck. It's not gonna be an easy turn. So that's why the concern was inquiring to the fire department. And as for the fire hydrant, it's in front of our house. So it's not far, but I don't see how it's gonna maneuver, but if it went one-way traffic, and once you start getting people parking in certain areas, that's kind of a little bit of a concern if it'll fit. That's just my question. Concern.
Thank you, by the way.
Just, can I describe the process that goes through?
Yes, please.
The process is that the developer creates a truck turning plan,
Yeah, I can search
and,
for that.
and they do that.
And Jason also provided the Exeter fire truck dimensions to us as well.
Yeah.
So we used those dimensions to run this template.
They provide the truck, and then it creates a template to make the turns, and it shows you can make them, they review that. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, you can make it if you do it perfect, and you don't do it perfect, sometimes you run over stuff, and that does happen, but this, to the extent of that, this gets reviewed by the fire department, and they say, okay or not, and they were fine with this proposal, that they felt they could get in and out.
So does that apply to school buses too?
Right, thank you, because that
Long
was the
vehicles?
other thing. You said you needed it for school buses, and
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the comment that came up about the school buses from Underwood, they asked us to run the school buses. That's not something we ordinarily do.
Yeah.
So where would the kids in this development get the bus?
At the end of this neighborhood, I would guess, but I guess I don't
Susie's
know.
house.
At the end of
Okay, I
what?
was gonna say, yeah. Say at her house.
Where are children picked up? Where are children picked up at this time?
Right now, they're at the corner of Bonnie and Green Hill. And
Okay.
take a left on to
Clover.
Yeah.
I take a quick left on to Clover to take a, it is the hardest neighborhood to drive a bus, one of the hardest challenging bus routes, because the traffic is crazy for the kids. And when I let them out, these children are going Clover, behind, around the back of me, and down Bonnie Drive. So they're being dispersed in many directions. And then, you know, you just give them make sure you're safe. Cars,
Look both ways.
scary, and everybody's racing for that stop light.
I am.
Thank you for being a bus driver. Thank you very much. That's a job we don't recognize enough. We got a lot of people like you, and get all our children to school safely. Thank you so much. Well, I think we're pretty well set for this evening, and I would look for a recommendation, or excuse me, a motion perhaps.
Can I,
to-
Mr. Chair, can I just ask a quick
Excuse me,
question?
Ms. Trump, sure.
Just because I think it could be addressed in the revised plans, if it's something that could be addressed. There's a lot of areas there's some areas that are islanded and some areas that are striped in the asphalt, and I'm just curious what the logic is. Like, I think, obviously, as much as possible, we'd like to decrease the amount of asphalt, and especially, excuse me, in the area between Building 1 and 11. It just seems like that's a whole lot of asphalt, and there's a lot of striped islands, and I'm just wondering if you looked at turning some of those into landscaped islands.
Yeah, we try to avoid them only because they're kind of a nightmare for the plows. But we could look at potentially adding maybe some islands on those longer buildings.
I think that would really help sort of organize that space and prevent a future parking free-for-all where people are just kind of going willy-nilly, especially if it's not going to actually be striped. That's a really wide, that's like wider than a regular parking lot.
Yeah, we can take a look at that in our revision.
Thank you.
So I think I've heard a couple things. Excuse me.
Oh, just to be clear.
Yes.
You know, I got this, but no one ever said it. Like, you're good with an exaction over a traffic impact study.
I think we need to discuss that.
That's what I want to make sure.
That's what Lang and I were just talking about.
Oh, okay.
Let's
we-
discuss that a little bit so we know we can make that decision. So
I think you probably just want to close the public
yeah,
comment for a minute.
well, I'll just hold them back.
Okay,
Close them
all
back.
right.
So
We're almost done with this case for tonight. We just need to discuss, as a board,
How many? One?
the traffic issue and how we're leaning towards handling that. So we can give the feedback to the applicant before this evening is done with them.
yeah, yep.
So, Jen, what are you thinking about traffic?
I think I heard that a traffic study is going to tell us what we just heard tonight, so I think I agree with the discussions that happened earlier, that it makes more sense for the applicant to provide funding towards some of these projects that we know have to happen.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll happen faster if there's funding.
Right, okay.
John?
No, I was just wondering, yes, Jen, this lilac place, we could only find 2 lilacs in it. Are there plans for any more?
They wouldn't even grow in my garden.
Well, when the big building's built out front, they're going to paint it lilac.
Hey, Gruder, what's that got to do with traffic?
Traffic.
Bring it back, buddy. Come on.
I thought we moved, I thought you had the traffic settled.
No,
We're
we've
settling
not
it right now.
settling it now.
Yeah.
We're getting consensus.
I agree with what Aaron just said about have some money to work with, I don't know.
That was Jen, but.
That was Jen, but that's okay.
Sorry, Jen.
That's okay, you have lilacs on the bridge. You're forgiven.
All right, I agree with that thought, that the further traffic study's not needed.
Right.
Because I think, too, the Portsmouth Ave is going to be looked at very closely over the next 5 years anyway, so we don't need studies upon studies, which, it seems like that's what we always vote for.
Right. Yeah, so I'm on the same board with that. I guess when you hear from Jason Plord, and he's telling you, you don't need to spend money on me, telling you what I'm telling you right now, it's not
Yep.
going to change. That, that's just good business not to waste the town's money. And I think the willingness of the applicant to work with the town on an exaction, I think that's how you say it, makes the most sense for everybody, solving a problem that is already existing. My concern is that the problem gets solved in the near term. So I do charge our fine planner, Dave Sharples, with putting some some of his energy at that, because I do think that's a very real concern now, and this will exacerbate the problem. But a traffic study isn't going to do anything, so I don't think we need one.
I'm going to agree with everything that's been said, and that I agree with Aaron especially, that we need to look at how to get these corrective measures started sooner than later, because I think it's going to happen. It's needed whether this gets approved or not.
Yep.
Right? So I do strongly urge us to, and I will discuss this at the next board meeting.
But it's needed.
Our answer is that we're comfortable with the, excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, I said it really needs to get fixed before the first person moves into this development.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to look into the logistics of this, but sooner the better.
Well,
it's the
yes, it would
easy-
be ideal, but
If
if
it's
the
the
town
easy
can't
fix,
do
it
it,
is.
I don't think it's fair to an applicant, what you
No.
just said.
No, it's separate from that. I think.
So I
it's-
agree,
No,
I agree.
It's connected, but
100%
I
agree.
didn't say you had to, but I'm saying it needs to be.
Yes.
Okay.
And hopefully it's the easy fix.
Tad of urgency, shall we say, yeah.
Would, what would be the, because you said the exaction would be something that comes as, is a condition?
Yes.
Like, how do we figure out how much? Do we determine? do we-
I'm going to work on that, that's what I've been
Okay.
tapped. Well, that's one of my.
That's what, yeah.
Yeah. And I've already been in preliminary discussions with,
Okay.
you know.
Is that something
but-
like
but-
Jason?
But I don't know, yeah, well, not, kind of. I got to find out what,
we have now.
no, but kind of a ballpark figure of what
Yeah.
this is going to be.
Well, yeah, because we don't know what we have now, or Jason doesn't
Exactly.
anyway. Yeah.
So, well, I know, I'll get on that. I can talk, because we have, I think it's First Light who does our traffic signals, and they're familiar with the cabinets and, you know, and Jay Perkins and so forth, because they did some work out at Alumni Drive on a light.
I was going to say, I
It had-
believe that, I
it had like a
remember
30
Alumni Drive was done by the hospital in part.
Well, yeah, but we were just out there maybe a
It was
year
years
ago
ago,
doing
yeah.
some things because someone said that the crosswalk there is like, and I went there, it like turns and it probably gives you like 6 seconds to cross.
Right.
And then it turns green. So we had to go out there. I think that's been fixed. So we're in the point is we have folks out there in the cabinet that we hire, contractors that, so we'll be able to know what's in there and so forth. So I'll work on that in the next couple weeks. I'll get that done.
And thank you for having Jason here, this meeting. It was really helpful.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So are you looking for a motion?
So, we have consensus to your original offer, yes.
Thank you very much.
And a couple other things that we've heard this evening. We've had a request for a visual kind of
Rendering.
presentation, please. And also, the board needs to talk a little bit about I'll say the construction procedure, or what are the plans, so neighbors have some idea of what's going to happen when, and where are the workers going to park, and all that kind of little nitty-gritty stuff that makes us very uncomfortable. And how things can be kept clean. That's always a challenge, because
We might need the truck heights. The truck heights.
Truck height?
The power lines are low, just be careful of the truck heights. Make sure you have that.
well, if the lights go out, the truck hit them.
Yeah, and how would you do the pedestrian bridge and how that's going to work around your parking lot on Portsmouth Ave?
Around the phasing or around?
Yeah, I mean,
during the phase one?
yes, we did ask to see something on that, so I know you,
All
Yeah.
the way to Portsmouth Ave.
right.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that parking lot, and how you're going to direct pedestrians. And I can't imagine it's going to be straight through the middle of that parking lot.
No, so we do have a phasing plan which shows, I think it's back this way actually, where the sidewalk will go during the phase one.
Can you point so we all can?
Yeah, so the sidewalk comes basically right down the edge of their parking. We've
Perfect.
showed for them our limit of construction, so that they know that their parking it'll be temporarily impacted while that's constructed, but then once it's complete, they'll be able to park again up against it, just like they would ordinarily.
Thank
So
you.
it runs right down that property line.
On building number 7, you showed us a couple schemats of a 30-foot building rather than a 36. So the question I have is, because those don't have garages, seems to me that could be applied to those buildings, or make it a little playground for the neighborhood.
I don't think it was 7, it was 8, 11, and 1, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Was 11 too?
It's,
Yep, 11 as
8,
well.
11, and
yeah,
1.
and it's
I
right.
mean, 7. I'm sorry, 7 was included?
It's these four.
The rendering you handed out tonight,
Hold on, let me
right?
pull my.
One,
Yes.
So it's,
11.
yeah, so it's building 7.
Oh,
8,
it's 7, okay,
11.
got
Oh,
it.
no, 7's not shorter.
No, 7's not shorter.
Yeah, 7's the same.
Yeah.
So 7, yeah, so 7.
Okay.
So where are you saying to put a playground?
Building 1, 8,
7,
11.
because that's right in the neighborhood. All those other houses are about that height. It would be more comfortable fit to the existing neighborhood, especially to the folks next door.
Yeah, so building 7 is the shorter height. That's what this one is right here.
Oh, the whole
okay.
thing is shorter.
Oh, the whole thing is shorter, it's not a
Yes,
step
yeah.
down?
Thank you.
Okay, that's what was confusing me, okay.
Yeah, so
Gotta
any
check,
of the-
get
any
my,
of the units
clean
that
my
were-
glasses off. I'm sorry, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, any of the units that were in proximity to those homes, we
Yeah,
went with
good,
30 feet.
good, that's nice.
Yes, it was an eye
Breaks it up
test
a
for
little
us.
bit.
Got it.
Okay, so,
I think they're gonna bring them next week too, but you can have them in the meantime. Have it. You're welcome.
are you ready with a
Yeah.
motion?
Yeah. So I'm going to make a motion to continue planning board case number 24-8 to March 27th, 2025 at 7 PM at the NOAC room.
Second.
Moved and
Does that
seconded.
work for you guys? You gonna get plans by the 20th?
We'll have, we won't have the rendering, but we'll have everything else addressed, the Underwood.
Do you wanna come back, or do you wanna wait till you do
Let's
and
wait
go
till
to
you
the
have
first meeting in April?
Well, could we come back, could we resubmit with the plans, then bring the renderings to the meeting? That's up to the
I'm
board, I
okay
guess.
with that. How's our agenda in general?
Open right now,
Okay.
so this would,
How do you feel about it?
It's okay.
I mean,
Yep.
the renderings, that's not that technical at this point. It's just modifications, really,
Yeah.
right? I mean, looking at
I really think,
views
I
and
think
stuff.
the visual is.
But how
more
much time do
important.
you need ahead of the meeting for that?
Yeah.
We get those at meetings all the time.
Yes.
so you'll have everything,
Yep.
except the renderings by the 20th.
But you could have
To
them for
us.
the meeting?
Yes.
No, except the renderings.
Oh, except the rendering.
Except the renderings. You're gonna have everything else by, well, 19th ideally.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
not getting things at the meeting is helpful.
We just.
Yeah, we can't do that, so I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure we're, okay,
We
so
do that all the
27th
time.
it
We're
is.
trying
You're
not to
saying we
do
won't
that.
have the renderings at the next meeting?
That's what they just said, no, they'll have the renderings,
For the meeting,
For
but
the
not ahead
meeting,
of
but
time.
not ahead of time.
correct,
All
it's
right,
not gonna
that's
be in your
fine.
packets,
Yep.
but we'll have everything
Another week
else.
to get it ready, yeah.
Just wanted to make sure we'll have everything else except the renderings.
Thank you.
And then the renderings will be shown at the meeting.
Yeah.
Can we just clarify what the renderings are that the board would like to see, just so we make sure that we are on the
Yeah,
same page?
I can do that.
Go ahead.
So,
Well, why don't you
They're
let the
sitting.
person who asked for it?
yeah, we had app there, back there, I think.
Yeah.
They had asked for views from Portsmouth Ave, views from the neighborhood, views from inside the project looking out, and from the neighborhood looking in, essentially.
They want the specific view.
Yeah, go ahead.
Speak in the mic. Can you
Keep the mic, please.
I understand what you're saying. I don't think you have any idea what quantity of work this is. We're not Riverwoods.
You're not?
And I mean, the other part is this, there's estimations of height and distance, and we will be able to do renderings as far as, and we can give you all four sides of renderings if that's important. But it's the perspective views that, yeah, I mean, we have existing conditions that we're dealing with. I'll let you.
So we can, is it acceptable if we render the proposed community? The issue is taking into consideration like abutting homes and existing
Yeah, right.
structures is a much more detailed scope.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't see that happening in 2 weeks.
I think the biggest thing for me as a board member, me personally, is being able to see what I'm gonna look at if I am that abutter. looking in. I don't need to see my own house. I don't need to see my neighbor's existing
Right.
house. I need to see what's not there now and what I'm going to look at in the future.
So if we can give you a view from,
Yep.
the entrances
Yes.
into the development.
Yeah. I think that's
views
reasonable.
In the development.
Yeah.
Of
No,
what we're proposing, I think that that's pretty doable.
Yeah. That works for me. Does that work for you?
Yep.
There won't be, what it sounds like, it won't be, it won't be specific, it won't be like a drive-through. I mean, that,
Won't be a drive-through, no. No.
That's a lot.
oh, that's what, yeah.
That's like-
And then I would question, what are you going to do with that information when you have it?
If I don't like it, I'm going to ask them to change it.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it doesn't look like Exeter to me. But I hope it does.
One more comment.
I'm sure it will.
I understand what you're saying about the quantity of work. Part of the consideration in requesting the overlay renderings is that there is a scale difference between the proposed development and the existing neighborhood. I think we would appreciate it at the neighborhood if you are able to do, for the next meeting or the meeting after, if there is one, depending on how this goes, something that shows what our homes look like next to these.
Is that a consideration?
Yeah.
Is that within the purview of the board? I mean, I know, understand, now we're surveying houses. that
Yeah, I
aren't in
don't
our
think you need to
plan.
go to that extent.
It's not just simply,
No, I think if you can scale it, right? You know what a 20-foot height is. Just do scale.
it's how far above and below.
Just scale it. Just show us scale. 'Cause, I mean,
Scale of the existing homes.
Yeah, just, if I'm looking, the existing house out there, it doesn't take too much time to figure out how tall it is, right? We don't have to survey the neighborhood to do that. The existing house is 20 feet tall. Don't go beyond that. Just scale it.
The other part of this is the three houses that are close to these buildings. The three buildings that are closest to them are 30 feet in height. And wasn't the point made that's about the height of these houses?
Yes, but I don't know that that's true. I'm just being honest. I don't.
I haven't scaled their houses either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I think.
I'm just, we're 10 feet below allowable height.
Absolutely.
We have done 20 feet below allowable.
Yeah, you had 50.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to go beyond that.
Just kind
I
of
think
get this perspective.
probably the bigger thing to me
It's
is.
very doable for us to get realistic perspectives.
Yeah.
From different angles on Haven
Yeah,
Lane and
that's-
Portsmouth Ave of the development.
Yeah.
Incorporating existing buildings is a whole nother level of scope that
Yes.
we can't just
So I
pick a
think that's,
number
and I think that's a
say-
reasonable position. Can you scale it? Because if you can show me not just a reasonable perspective, like I can look at woods and I can look at buildings and I can have a sense of where I am, but if you can say, all right, this is what this tree right here was 20 feet or whatever, this is our building, that's 30 feet, this is how it looks if you're this far away from it at 25 feet. I don't know how tall these houses are, but frankly, if you own a house, figure out how tall your house is. That's how I feel about it. So I don't think you need to do that work. But if you can make it easy for us to see it without that survey, then it's fine with me, personally. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but being able to look at the perspective of the project from the neighborhood, I think, is a reasonable
Yeah, I think-
request. I don't need it to be, the drive-through
No,
project that,
that's another whole.
Yeah,
whole-
so we'll come in with perspectives
Yeah.
from views from the surrounding
I
neighborhoods.
mean, this right
then we can
here
look at it
is
and,
about as flat as it gets.
Yeah, well, it's a straight on look.
That's what I have right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
That we can,
I can work with that.
anything to do with the buildings and the site, we can render.
Okay, everybody set?
So
We just have to,
we have to vote.
Yes.
Change that does work. All you're gonna not have ahead of time is the rendering.
Correct.
But everything else, you have plenty of time
Yes.
to get in by the 19th.
Yes, yep, absolutely.
Okay. And then the renderings you'll have for us at the meeting, and that's not unusual, so.
Good.
that part, yeah, no, yes.
We have a motion and a second.
We do. Voice vote is fine?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you for your patience
All right.
and your testimony and staying on topic. Beautiful.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't see the overflow. I don't think anyone knew that room was available.
Bollards in residential neighborhood.
They are, but
Oh, man, no.
I know. I know.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
I think I'll ask why they're so small. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Well, I didn't read the 2 letters of testimony, so.
Thank you.
One of them got up.
That's all she said.
Yes.
She said you.
Apparently not so much.
Okay, I gotta
I'll
get some
keep
stuff
thinking
out.
that, but yeah, thank you.
The demigod himself rolling in.
I do. My purse.
Satan just showed up, Lang.
Oh.
I saw the mother bird.
Already had the clock running
Near
from summertime.
Oh, yeah.
I can't stop the mother bird thing, I guess.
Say, oh, we'll just do another meeting.
I was thinking about that. The Gray Farm. We had the architect, the landscape architect.
That's a $5,000 meeting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Take care, good to see you.
Okay, thank you.
You know what I mean? It's probably $5,000 meeting.
Yes, yeah.
Per meeting.
And then I think, okay, what's that gonna do to the price of the house?
Huh?
That's a half.
Oh, we wouldn't let you, I'm not letting you leave.
What our legislature's trying to do, take all of our zoning authority away?
Okay.
I think we're pretty.
Sometimes after the first one, I'm ready
We've
for
done a lot of changes.
you. sure you're still considering joining us,
Sounds
right?
very good to do.
And we made a couple of mistakes. Somehow we gotta review this. I'm looking.
They're not,
They're so damn nice.
I know.
I don't like it. You can't piss
I'm so glad you keep showing up.
Well, you can't
She's
be
thinking of
neighbor.
joining the board. So she keeps coming to meetings.
It's not advised.
It's great.
Bad relations.
Frown on it, huh?
It's just all playing nice, that's all.
Do you water? You gonna make it?
No, I'm okay. I just gotta fill up my cups once in a while.
I gotta go fill my cup up.
Oh,
Fill your cup up.
sure.
Oh, you finish that.
Well, let me
Knock
finish
that back, will you?
1, 2, 3.
From the thing.
Okay. Marty Kennedy has joined us again. He
Okay.
relaxed in the lounge out there.
He slept.
And our next business is Stone Arch Development, Planning Board Case Number 24-17. It's a continued public hearing of a multi-site plan review at 112 Front Street. So Dave, do you have some opening comments, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant originally appeared before the board at the January 23rd meeting to present their initial plans. A site walk was conducted on February 6th. The applicant returned to the planning board for further discussion at the last meeting on February 27th to address concerns raised during the site walk and the comments received from Underwood engineers. The application was subsequently tabled to this evening. The applicant has submitted revised plans and supported documents dated March 5th, 2025, that are enclosed in your package for your review, and I'm sure they will go over them. The applicant is now requesting 2 waivers. There were 3 waivers before, I believe, and then there are now down to 2 waivers from the board's site plan review and subdivision regulations as outlined in the waiver request letters. The previous request for the waiver from section 9.3.6.4 for grading within 5 feet of an exterior property line is no longer necessary given the revisions to the plans where they moved the entranceway, I think 5.5 feet off of the easterly property line. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay.
Good evening,
Welcome,
Mr.
Christian.
Chairman. Christian Smith, engineer with Beals Associates, representing the applicant. John O'Neill from Stone Arch Development is with us in the audience as well. And I thought I'd start by just going through the changes that did take place on the plan and the things that we looked at based on planning board input from last hearing. The biggest of which Dave has already noted, which is moving that driveway entrance 5.5 feet off of the abutting property that, the multifamily property that fronts on actual Front Street. Secondarily to that, Mr. Chairman, we did look at staggering these buildings, particularly the two in the middle and the one out back by the cemetery, and it just became very, very messy trying to jog those things. So what Mr. O'Neill has done is had his architectural designer treat the exterior of the buildings with some additional, if we can go there. So you can see there are little roof cuts. There's, I don't know, are those bay windows, John? Mm-hmm. Bay windows that run up through the second floor. Mm-hmm. This would be the building that fronts on the existing street.
Is this Front Street?
That is Front Street view, yep.
And how close is that building to the property line?
To the property line, it varies from probably,
Yeah,
let me take a quick.
I should say from Front Street,
Yeah.
from the sidewalk.
From the sidewalk, you're looking at about 10 to 12 feet, because it's not a perfect parallel.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
what it was.
Yeah. Oop, going the wrong way. And this is a view of what would be the rears of the building to the parking area.
Okay.
You can see the walkway, it's a little bit dark in that particular
Okay.
slide, but that's got the walkways back there. It shows the proposed landscaping, which we did provide a revised landscape plan as well, that was done by John's designer. And I'm heading the wrong direction here, geez.
Yeah.
And there is a view from the interior of the property looking at the garage entrances. That building in the back is the furthest one away from Front Street, and the rear of that abuts the cemetery. And that is just, I think that's either building 2 or 3. I think that's a 4 unit, so I think that's building.
So the front of the building, the front of the back building is facing the cemetery.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the
And
front
that's how
face
these
the
are all
outside.
oriented,
Yes,
so that the
they're all-
garages
yeah.
face the drive aisle. Yeah. And let's see.
Yeah, the use of a little color there is good. That helps separate them a little bit.
Yeah, and you can see again, he did dormers. He changed the gables on the ends of these units as well, Mr. Chairman, to try and address
Yep.
that plain look that you had discussed in the previous hearing.
Oh, that's good.
And with the revised drainage, the revised entrance, and those differentiations in the architecture, that is the lion's share of material changes to the design itself. And we did incorporate much of the comments, or edits, to deal with many of the comments in the final Underwood letter as well. So with that, I'll entertain any questions that you folks might have. Address the waivers when
Did
appropriate.
giving the driveway 5 feet affect the location of the front building at all?
We had to slide it just a little bit. It was, that moved probably 4 feet. I think we had to slide the building 2 feet. And that was just to make sure we have enough area for the vehicles to make that
Yeah.
initial right-hand turn.
Yeah. And then, if that's the case, approximately how close to that single-family home? Store to it?
So it's still going to be in the neighborhood of 20 feet.
16.
16?
I can go to the microphone if you need me to.
Yes.
I could hear you.
Wow.
All right.
Right. Questions, comments?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, excuse me, go ahead.
Yeah, I apologize. The building that side of the footprint didn't move. We took a foot out of each of the units. So we shrunk the building.
Little slice.
Thank
Coming
you.
from the southeast. John
So
is
that
reminding
dis-
me.
so
You can
that
tell
dis-
I'm not the architect on this.
Okay. So that distance is the same as
Same as it was in the last.
was before?
Which
Okay.
was,
Again, I think it was around 10 feet. I mean, we meet side setbacks on that side by a couple of feet, and then it's whatever, the distance from the property line to the existing building on their property.
But just, if I could clarify, so the western end of the building has not changed from the last time we had the plan? Correct. Same spot?
Yep.
Questions, comments? A lot of paper shuffling going on here. How about where the driveway is 5 feet wide? What's being done with the, I guess it's a landscape drawing I'm looking at,
Yep.
because there was some fencing there, which would be necessary to keep headlights from
Yep,
people
that's
turning in.
correct. So the fencing is going in there. There are some plantings that are going to be installed on both our side of the property as well as the abutter side of the property in collaboration with them.
Yep.
And in addition to that, whoop, that's not the pointer. We have also added that same fence along the abutting property with the folks that own 9 Gill.
So the fence is not solid all the way back. It's being based
Correct.
partly in what the neighbors have.
I think we've got about 98 linear feet from the
Okay.
front, and then there's a gap, and then I think it's 60-something feet, 69 feet across that.
Well, I just want to make sure that all the neighbors have had that opportunity, and I sense that they have had. I just want to be sure that is. Dave was saying earlier, what we treat one party with, we need to treat all of them. I see a head nodding no, so there's one part owner you need to talk with on that, I guess. Same thing on the other side?
No, on the other side, you can see all the existing trees as well as the in-planting trees that the designer has. I keep hitting that, sorry.
Yeah, there we go, okay.
All of the existing trees, plus she proposed plantings within those existing trees to provide a better buffer and a better screen along with that, but no fence that I'm aware of. John, I'm not incorrect on that, on the northerly side? It's 106 feet on the plans.
Yeah, there's a fence along the whole right-hand side, Christian. The neighbor's got one, and we're continuing down, almost halfway down to white fence.
Okay. See the note top left?
Can you use your
The
light
note
to
top left
point that
says
out?
proposed white vinyl screen fence is 6-foot height, 106 linear feet. Oh, there you go.
But then it breaks
So it
up,
doesn't go the whole way,
then it's
106 feet. That's
24
right.
feet. And then there's a break, and then there's 132 feet, right?
Yes.
Three
Yeah, so
sections.
I think what she was- 24 feet.
24 and then 132.
And I Yeah, so think you
Mm-hmm.
what she was intending to do with
Three
that
sections, right?
is not That's try what and the plant plan the showed. fence where it would damage
The
useful
existing-
existing tree
Yeah, right.
roots.
Yeah.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, one thing she did add, when you're pulling into the first building, as they pull in, she created screening, Christian, if you could identify that, so that there'd be no light damage.
Could
going
you
on
use the
to
microphone,
property.
use the microphone, please?
Yeah, is it on? Can you hear it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we added screening so that there'd be no light pollution coming through as you drive into that first building. So she blocked that all off.
Ah, good.
Why are some of the fences gray and some are white?
I believe that was the abutter's choice on the gray one.
And the gray one's actually going to look like stone. It's a beautiful looking fence, 8 foot tall. It has sound capability as well. And I don't know if we have a picture of it, but Adele, you've seen it. It's a good looking, very good looking fence.
It's
Very
gray
expensive and very
vinyl?
nice.
That
It's a
looks like-
vinyl, but it's not, it's vinyl both sided with a sound rating in between. And that's 8 foot tall, and it makes sense. She was the most aggrieved with lights coming in there, and we planted trees there as well. But we didn't think it was necessary to do it on the whole property, because the other side of the property is already covered with the white fence. We were going to continue that fence all the way down that side.
Well, that's good, because all the traffic coming in and out goes right by that, through that driveway.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Of course.
yeah.
Yep.
Nancy?
No, a lot, my concerns have been addressed in this new, most of them, yeah. I'm good, thank you.
Sure, I'm curious about this stone vinyl stone.
Stone vinyl. Wait a minute.
Very nice, hold on.
There's no bold belief in ignorance in that stone wall you gotta have it, no?
Thank you, over here.
Okay. That's beautiful.
Thank you. Oh, there we go.
Do you mind if we pass your phone down and you
No,
can
just
come
keep-
along with it?
No, you're not with it.
Keep touching it so it'll stay away.
Yes.
Keep touching it, keep it
Figure
away.
if you come along with it, you can hit it if we need you to.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Thank you. And I'll bring it over.
Stay
to
off her
you.
Amazon account, please.
Oh, see, that would be a little sound deadening.
Final? Wow, okay.
Oh, you're gonna, okay.
Yeah, do you want it, or?
No, I've seen it.
Mr. Smith, I'm going to put you through your paces right now.
Okay.
So, can you go to the board and show me exactly where there's going to be a fence and where there's going to be a break, and then go to the fence again? Like, you had a pointer or something, or?
Well, yeah.
All right, yeah, perfect. Because I'm reading the plan, and I just want to make sure I'm reading it right.
Yeah, so on the southerly side or the southeasterly side, the fence runs from here
Yeah.
to this point,
Okay.
and then again, this is the 8-foot gray vinyl.
Gray, the stone-looking
Stone.
fence, yeah.
And from here to here,
Yeah.
and that's, no, they've got white
That's gray
vinyl
vinyl.
down here.
That says gray vinyl also.
They've got white vinyl down here,
White
Yeah, so you
vinyl.
got gray,
white down at the end.
and then white down at the end.
Okay.
So 3 sections
Yeah,
on that side.
southerly side.
Yeah.
Nothing on the real south side facing the
Cemetery.
cemetery.
Right.
The north side is
And
6.
then,
Quiet neighbors over there, I guess?
Yeah.
so far.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
They've not been
They're
obtrusive.
dying to get in there.
And there is a fence there. There's a chain link fence
John, can you
on the
point out
cemetery.
the fence in the north?
There's-
I'm having trouble.
There's 3 of them.
Riverwood residents, dying to get in
Right on
there.
the corner.
Over here?
Terrible.
Yep.
Yeah,
Work your way down, Christian. And
to,
where's it end there, Dave?
Oh,
This is
it doesn't
not
show that, it doesn't show it starting on the corner.
Well, it does. It needs to be just-
that's an existing fence on his side.
No, I know, but you're proposing a fence.
It starts at
The-
the first red tree.
It
Just
starts
remember
at
to
the
use
first
your
red
mic.
tree from here.
Yep.
Whoop,
Keep hitting that button. There we go. So it starts here,
yeah, and then it looks like it goes to that first deciduous tree.
right here. then
And
there's
kind
a
of
break.
stops,
Yeah.
yeah, and then starts again after it.
Yep, another break for the tree roots and trunk.
Yeah,
It's a big break though, right?
Pardon?
How big's that break?
Looks to me to be, if that's scale, probably 4 feet, 5
Okay,
feet.
okay.
The mic comes off the stand, you know. It's for the meeting minutes, too. That's how, he does our meeting minutes from the video, so.
Yes, my
Yeah.
apologies.
Thank you.
then there's a 24-foot section between those 2 deciduous trees,
Yes, right here.
like, right there,
Yeah.
yeah. And then it
And then
looks
it
like it
continues.
jumps over, it breaks with that existing tree there.
Right.
And then it starts again, and there's 132 feet going there.
And
Right.
where does that end? Is it ending by the lilacs?
Or the next big tree?
I think, from what I'm looking at, and this is not in very good focus, Aaron.
Yeah.
I think it terminates right before that tree.
Okay.
Oh,
It's right before the lilac. That's what approximately 136
Yeah.
scales out to be.
Okay.
That last lilac.
and nothing else on down to the...
So the front third to the street is, yeah, existing vegetation. There's no additional fencing there, right?
There's existing fence.
Existing.
There's an existing
Oh, there
fence
is?
on the neighbor's
property.
How tall is that
Okay.
fence?
6-foot white vinyl.
But also you have additional
Plantings.
So
plantings
that, I mean, that should be
to
on
help
here.
keep headlights
Existing
from
fence
going
should really be
across.
on here.
I think she's got them.
That's why I'm asking you to go through this, dude. I can't
Yeah,
read it.
if you look at some of the trees
She
there,
doesn't
she
have the
will actually
existing
say
fence.
existing.
Okay. Oh, no, I can see that. I'm saying the
It's
fence.
existing trees.
I can't
She
see
doesn't
an
put the
existing fence on the
No,
front
the
section.
existing fence isn't on there because obviously the surveyors didn't trespass the location.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it'd be helpful to have it.
See it?
Fence there?
I mean, we
I
can
guess so.
certainly stand on our property and
See it,
just
right?
add it to the.
Yeah,
plan.
just add it because it's a detail that I think is important.
It's important, sure.
You know?
Oh, it is, yes.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
About the architecture. So in our packet, there's an elevation facing Front Street. There's A1A and A1B. What's A1A and what's A1B?
I believe, Sam, can you get on there and just switch to the other drawing? I've got those up. You see the open files on the bottom?
Yeah, that's going to be tough on him.
Same thing.
His house is right up the line. This guy's house.
Yeah.
That's why he's so close. I don't know what you're doing.
Right.
As long as he doesn't block the headlight. This
Yeah.
thing's all moving right up. Yeah. Dramatic change.
But I
Well,
think,
A's a hip, B's a gable, and then the over the tri-windows is like here, it's kind of a slanted roof, and then here it's like a flat roof.
Absolutely.
Those-
The gable roofs had a gable and the hip roofs had a
Yeah.
hip system.
That's the only difference.
But it's the same building.
But it's
They're
the
both
same building.
facing
It's the
Front
same
Street.
front.
So which one are you proposing?
Yeah.
What are we looking at? Which one's right?
I think it's 1A.
Down and out, tell them as they go through.
yeah, let's go back to the first page.
That's the
That
front,
is the front, that is
That's it.
Front Street, right there.
front on Front.
No, you got two,
You
yeah.
have two
but then
that say they're on Front
Flip to B. B.
Yeah.
So B is not Front Street. That is one of the
It
side
says
buildings.
facing Front Street.
It's a mistake, that it's not.
Oh, okay.
So that's just,
Architectural.
that was the architect. In reality, we're doing the hip roof on
Misleading.
Front Street. So the hip roof's
Hip
on
roof
front.
So this is for the other three.
It's the other three going along the side, and
Okay.
then we're gonna do a hip roof along the cemetery.
Okay. So hip roof on two ends. and then-
So there's the back of the Front Street building right here.
Yeah, okay.
B is the two perpendicular to Front Street.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay, thank you.
So I also have a comment to follow up that question. So I really appreciate those 3D views that were done. I think they're really helpful to see, as opposed to just the flat. I can't get over the feeling like these buildings are backwards. Like even before we were like, so that's the front? No, is that the back? Like, what's the front?
You're inside the community.
Because
It is.
the front, I mean, really, like, these buildings are all gathered around this central space, even though it's basically parking.
Well, it's
You know,
unique.
they kind of create this U, the way they're formed urbanistically, that I feel like all the fronts of the buildings should be facing there. And then you've got these beautiful frontages that are in the backyards facing
The neighbors.
fence. Well, facing a fence and trees. It's like a backyard. Like, I wouldn't want the front of my house facing the back of my neighbor's house. That would be weird.
Well, you have to have function, and the function of these buildings is you have to drive in. So you're not gonna, you don't want to create any more pavement than you need to. So this is a nice-looking building, in my opinion. And it doesn't look as nice as the other side, but this is what people are gonna see as they drive in right here, because they have to have function, they have to drive in.
Yeah.
So
Well-
it's function versus what's reality, so, and, you know,
Yeah, but I mean, we saw in the other project, like, you had the
But remember one thing.
garages and then the front doors were
Right.
in the front.
but remember this, I don't even think architecture is part of your purview in this particular zone. Nothing personal. but I
Oh,
don't believe
actually, it is,
I
yeah.
don't-
We can
It's not.
comment on
I don't
that.
believe it
Well,
is.
you can comment it, but your regulations don't have any architectural standards for multifamily in Exeter.
And I think, Jen, the intent was just to have the
So-
more aesthetically pleasing side of the building facing the abutters. the closest to butters.
So in order to get into your house, you've got to open the garage doors
Yeah.
To get in from this side.
from this side.
Correct.
Yeah, this isn't just about aesthetics. This
No,
isn't
I'm just
just
saying, we don't
about,
have architectural standards for residential, multifamily.
right, but I mean, this is like, it's a plan for a community and it affects the butters and it's just, it's strange, it's architecturally
But
strange.
don't you think the abutters
I
are
don't
going
know,
to be
it's
pretty,
like
aren't the
unsettling.
abutters going to be pretty happy with a nice look facing them? I mean,
Maybe the people
I
go
actually
there
like
buy
it
something, they think twice.
pardon me?
I like it.
Yeah,
That's the
I do
problem
too.
with
I mean,
architecture.
I have
Some
to,
people love it, some people hate it.
I see a lot of homes, I like it, I think you did a good job.
I mean,
It looks good from both sides, and that's not typical.
and we have to sell, it's very important. We sell 50 homes, a year. We know what we're doing, we try to do the right thing, so I get it, you know, maybe you may not personally like it, but people like this. This is a very nice look, it's charming.
Why Baskin Robbins has 31 flavors.
There you go.
So what's the finish on the outside of the back of the buildings?
We're going to be using a wood product, so I like the product Smart Side, very nice product, it's a wood product, and the windows are going to be all black, and we're going to change the colors. I think the diversification of colors makes a difference, and to make them look better, we cross the striping and the pattern in there, so you get the wood and batten look. So we try to make it pleasing, we really do. It's not a typical townhome, but it is unique. I understand what Jen's saying about the other project. It has to, it's driven a little bit more, and it takes away from what I think is the better function. These are very, very nice functioning units. So when you have a two-car garage to drive into, guests will park in front, but they can walk around back. They have a nice walkway, there's a nice finished room in the basement, and it's pretty private out back. So, you know, we thought it was the best use of the property. I like the building an awful lot, I really do, so.
Looking at it from another angle.
You want to see the gable one?
That's one of the side buildings. That's looking out at the neighbors, to be quite frank. So that's what they're gonna look at. And there is some distance off the, Christian, how much distance are we off the sideline on that particular road? So in other words, when they walk in on the right-hand side, how much space do they have between there and the fencing and the property? 25 feet, 30 feet?
So for the two middle buildings?
Yeah, behind the building.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to that plan to give you a handle, John.
It tapers a little bit,
Yeah,
but somewhere
it's
around
not perfectly parallel.
20 plus.
Yeah, so they get a nice backyard in there, and they have some privacy as well. So that's their private area. But the
It's their
function,
backyard in the front of the house.
yeah, but the functional area has to be the garage. You have to get into it. They have to drive in.
Bugs me, I'm
know?
sorry.
I mean, we've done this in Portsmouth and Dover. We've done it in a lot of communities. It's been done in Rochester. We do this quite a bit, and it's very successful.
And I've got to say, Jen, I live in a single-family home, and I've got 3 exterior doors that I can easily use to go in. 9.5 times out of 10, I pull my car in the garage and I go through the basement and up the stairs. And that's effectively what they'll do here.
Yeah, most people do that.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes with that type of house. Yeah.
Can we see the front street view of the front? Is that not it?
That is Front Street.
That is it.
That is it. That's the hip
Front
roof.
Street.
Yeah.
And it's a white building?
Want to show the color version, Christian?
Yeah, Sammy, can you pop that other plan set up? Just change the PDF. If you hold it over the Adobe sign, keep going to the right, keep going to the right. Right there, and go to the right. Oh, just click on that one.
This one here?
Nope.
You want it in the next-
There you
There you
go.
go.
Click on that, click on that. There we go.
Good.
It doesn't show us the front.
No, I think
You
you,
wanted to see the building.
Yeah, that's a building.
Yeah, I'll get there.
Yeah, now he's gonna move it. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
And this
Yeah.
was a federal style, and then Mr. Plummer wanted it changed, so that's when we changed the roofs and the design and everything else based on the feedback from the last meeting.
I think it was good feedback, and I think
Yeah.
it improved that plan.
Yeah.
We're very happy with that.
I screwed up today.
No, I like it.
You apparently have architectural say.
Have an old farmhouse, that's all.
It does break it up more.
No running water, no electricity. Yeah.
This is a little different what you put in our package, though. It doesn't have the
Yeah.
same windows.
So you're saving as many trees as you can, mostly along that, well, all around. Existing tree,
right,
yes.
Right.
Do they have one for wind perspective with the actual street in there? I'm not seeing it.
Probably standing in it.
Probably standing in the house.
Yeah. So can I just ask that people who are going to speak go to the mic so the secretary can pick up everything that's said?
I didn't know if you guys, I just wanted to point out.
Yeah, go up to the microphone, please. If you'd like to speak,
That's the
step up to the
process,
microphone.
is to go up to the microphone.
And that's just another perspective of that same view.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks like the architect made the street just kind of this black and stuff color, and
Yeah, I mean, again, it's dark.
it doesn't look like a street, it looks like a mud pond or something. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Dale Atkins, and I live on the corner of Front and Gill. This doesn't show the size, the mammoth building this is. It's like a fortress compared to the surrounding houses in this neighborhood. It doesn't relate any way. And there are going to be 4 of these massive buildings. It just, the whole thing seems totally inappropriate. And you have so many, it should be 10 units at the most, as opposed to 17.
How
find
high
the
is
whole
the
thing
existing house?
offensive.
Do you know offhand?
How tall it is?
How tall is it?
I don't know.
About,
Do you guys know?
Approximately 40 feet.
about, so
40
this is
feet.
taller than that.
It's in the same range.
Mr. Palmer, you go with this.
Oh, yes, come on up and speak if you'd like. Bill, yeah.
Just 111 Front Street. The approximate height of the current building is 30 feet. 30 feet. So we've got at least 4 feet higher than that.
Okay.
For perspective. I've got some other questions, but that was, I wanted to come to the microphone to do that.
That's probably not. That's the back.
Good evening. I'm Bill Campbell, 7 Riverwoods Drive. I'd just like to make some additional comments to what I said in the last meetings. I'm wondering why we're trying to jam 17 units cheek to jowl in this lot. Seems to me to be a bit much. I have trouble envisioning 4 large solid buildings, each 96 feet by 24 feet. Actually, the other one is 120 by 24, and each of these massive buildings is about 35 feet high. Does this massive set of 4 buildings fit into a neighborhood of separate single-family homes, each of which is on a separate lot? Do they fit in with the older homes on Front Street, which was the initial claim of the builder back in January? The builder does not want to preserve the front of the Merrill House. Could it be at least to try to space his units out and give the units more breathing room? I believe you have a letter in your packet from Don and Mayor Joe Brizelton. I don't know if anybody here is going to read that tonight, but I wish he was here to read it because he makes some very good points. He's a very good writer. And I would like to, I don't know whether it can be read by the chair or not. But he recommends, again, like Dale, 10 to 12 units on this property. Granted, Exeter needs housing, although I'd argue that it needs more affordable housing, which this is not. Which in fact, does this add to the character of Exeter? I'm not sure. The other thing I would just, would it be reasonable from the last part of the meeting we had with, in the first hour or two, could the board ask for pictures, renditions of what this development would look like from Gill Street, looking through the houses that are there now to this massive buildings that are behind it? I don't know whether the board can ask for that or not, but it would be helpful and good to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Good evening, good morning to you.
I said good morning to him when he came in earlier.
My name's Randy Daly, I'm from the Exeter Cemetery, and I'm just wondering what happened to the fence that was going to run along the cemetery boundary, which we talked about at the meeting when it was at the library. At the time, it was going to be a 6 to 8 foot cedar fence. They said nothing cheap like the white vinyl. I think that was your comment.
It was brought up on the sidewalk, too.
What's that?
It was brought up on the sidewalk, too. You just didn't make it.
No, I had a doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to reschedule those?
I have, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, so my apologies for that. But that was brought up, and then because of, part of my concern was, well, obviously the site. You know, you're not going to see the kids' bicycles and barbecue grills and the horseshoe pits and all that between the cemetery and the building if you had a fence. Sound was another one of the problems that I had. I don't know what happened. I never had the opportunity to hear back from anybody regarding, I think you said everybody had the opportunity to say, yeah, you wanted a fence. No, you didn't. First I've heard of this tonight. So, I mean, if this is how you're doing it, this is what it is. And unfortunately, I think it's just going to change every time you meet. So, sounds like it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
So you're saying you'd like to see an 8-foot cedar fence?
I'm saying I'd like to see something, yeah.
Something to separate the...
What would you like to see?
There's a 6-foot chain link fence as it sits right now, and within that fence on the property line, there's granite pillars. It's very historic, very attractive, but there's a 6-foot chain link fence as it exists. So instead of adding another fence, we supplemented it with landscaping that you wouldn't be able to see through. We don't want to look through there, but I don't need to put a double fence there. Do you want me to take down your fence? Do you want that fence taken down and I'll put up a white vinyl instead? I wouldn't think so. Doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so this is some of the confusion, if I could, because we talked about this on the sidewalk and in the library.
Yep.
On the sidewalk, twice I was told it was your fence and that you were going to put a new one. He and I talked.
Yep.
Okay. And then at the last meeting, I was told, no, that's not correct. It's the cemetery's fence. So I just think it's a good idea right now to get a clear understanding of whose fence, where it belongs, who can replace it, who can't. Because one of my concerns, in addition to yours, was people accessing the cemetery with no barriers.
Yeah. Like most
using
of New
it as
Hampshire,
an
fences are
extended
on the property line, where in a lot of states, they push it back a foot. They're right on the line. So
This
the
one is
actual-
not. This one is not on the line. It is on the cemetery property completely.
Okay,
It is not
so
on the line.
that's
Because the
contrary to what
line
was just said.
that we were out on the site walk, there's granite bounds that maybe 3 foot, those square granite
Yeah.
bounds that stick out, those are the center line of the property line.
Okay.
Right through those center, and the chain link fence is on the cemetery side of those. So I would say that fence is probably at least 8 to 12 inches on the cemetery property.
So we're all going to agree that that's the cemetery's fence?
Yep.
Okay.
It's on the cemetery's property. And it does
Yeah, I
continue
said
past
fence.
your,
I'm sorry.
and it also
It happens
continues
after
past
a while, yeah.
the ends of these, it continues. So it does make sense that it's the cemetery.
And fencing doesn't bother me. I don't mind spending money on fencing. I don't want to be redundant. And that's what I thought was, we were seeing redundancy at that point. But if you want a white fence there, I don't have a problem with
You
it.
need a mic too, so.
Yeah.
It's a cedar fence.
Or perhaps, as I do with some of those fences, they've run vinyl diagonally to make it a...
No, I'm not trying to give you a hard time. I'm just trying to find out what your plan is, because you told me one thing 2 meetings ago. I wasn't at the site walk. I didn't make the last meeting. So then tonight I walked in and I get, hear this. And I also, as far as leaving that fence, that's fine. As long as there's something, we talked about sound, something to make it, to try to control the sound.
Landscaping that I placed there,
Yes.
there's a lot of landscaping, there's probably $100,000 worth of landscaping we placed there.
Microphone.
Very happy to do a nice
Christian,
job.
can you give, those aren't, you could give him one of those. Thank you.
I mean, there's a lot of ways to
I don't
protect-
own the property. I'm the superintendent there. I'm just trying to look out for the well-being of the property while I have that position.
Sure.
And I also don't want to take the fence out and not have anything that's going to allow the, people to walk through it and then end up,
Yes.
because right now, if you look at the end of Parker Street, kids jump over it, the fence is ruined. Because they climb over it and all that. And then I remember somebody, several years ago, put grease on the top of the fence, so that was a bad mistake.
Yeah.
The kids retaliate, they win.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I just want to make sure that if we can keep it, if it's going to keep the noise down, but if you're going to put the plants in at the end of your project, when landscaping usually gets done, that's not going to help with the sound.
During construction, you're talking about.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's when I will put the plants in, but this will be a quick one-year project. This is not going to take a long time. We go very rapidly.
Whatever, yeah.
It'll be done fast. I mean, quite frankly, we've got the fire department over there training on the building right now for demolition and working on it, and we're going to demolition it, and by the time project's approved, we'll be in the ground. It goes fast.
And also at the last meeting, I asked if I had a funeral close proximity to the construction, if you could do something about that, and you said yes.
Of course.
Is that still accurate?
Of course.
Thank you.
But we want to be good neighbors. I'll put fencing along everybody's property. We asked everybody else to need fencing, we're glad to do it. It just didn't seem appropriate to work and take that fence down or add another fence right in front of it. It didn't make any sense to me.
Well, I would agree with that because it is an ugly chain link fence.
Yeah.
But it's ugly all the way from Linden Street all the way to Arbor Street.
I think it's a very attractive chain link fence, to be quite honest with you. I think it's a nice
Well, that's a matter of opinion.
Yeah.
That's why they make
It's been around a while.
flavors of Baskin Robbins.
All right, so looking at the landscaping along the cemetery line, you're leaving existing trees and you're adding some hosta.
No, it's some
What?
Hicks U.
Is that what that says?
Yeah.
it's
What is that?
It's a tall, you know what a U is?
Yeah,
It's like
kinda,
that
yeah.
evergreen that everyone counts.
You and me?
around.
Yeah.
Okay, you.
The tall, skinny,
Yes.
very skinny.
Yeah.
Doesn't get much bigger than 3-4 feet ever.
Okay. So it's not gonna be a
Sure.
lot of screening.
They're little. They're not big. It's not a lot of screening.
We can double it up. If you see anything, Jen, that you think is is not thick enough, I'm glad to supplement. I really am. I thought it was a good baseline, and I'm not afraid to supplement it. If you want to comment on the landscaping plan and add to it, I'm thrilled. I have no issue with that at all.
Yeah, I would just ask your landscape designer to maybe beef up those, do a larger species.
Sure.
there. Maybe an arborvitae or something.
Is this an association where they will take care and maintain this stuff long-term? Yeah. Thank you very much.
Hopefully.
Oh, that's the plan.
Well, that depends on the, in reality, that depends on the quality of the association. You know what I mean? Like, if they're people that care, usually they are. I mean, usually, in my experience, people spend a good amount of money on a brand-new condominium with all this new stuff. There's always someone who's gonna enforce things getting taken care of. And usually there's a couple. You know what I mean? It's just the way the groups tend to work. So I'd be pretty surprised if they let it go. It's just not what you normally see.
Aaron,
Not with what they pay to buy.
It's very likely. I have done it on every other project in Exeter. I add a well. I drill my own well so we can landscape. I know that technically there's a moratorium with water. We're
Yeah.
not supposed to, but they leave us alone. I add a well so that people keep these things green. Everything that leaves grass out there will be sod. So we do a very high level landscaping. It's very important to me.
Makes a difference. I do think it's pretty thin on that back line.
Glad to supplement that. I'll double it. I'm glad to have a look at it.
Did you just say you're putting in a well for irrigation?
Yeah. Yeah, I did it on Little River. I did it on Wild Apple. I do it wherever I go. I drill a well. People spend, I sod all the lawns. It's all sodded. It's all irrigated. Everything we do. Tie in.
Am I okay to go? Hi, Sarah Nelson, 8 Gill Street. And I'm not a direct abutter, I'm just across the street, so I'm looking at it. And first of all, I actually have to lead with a thank you and appreciation for seeing the kind of color pictures of what these buildings are going to look like, because I live in an old house and I love old houses, and I'm really sad that the one that's there now is going to be torn down, but that seems to be a fight that's already been lost. But I like the look of these. So like, I have to say thank you for showing us those, and I think that there's been a lot of attention paid to the abutters and different kinds of fencing and the landscaping. I just want to reiterate the kind of echo what everyone else is saying, is that it's just too dense. It's just too much. It's not that the buildings are, they're nice looking. They fit in with the town. Like I like that. But they're just too big. The footprint is just too much. And I just want to specifically read from the Exeter zoning ordinances, Article 1, 1.2, purposes. Not going to read the entire thing, but just a couple things. The purposes of the Exeter zoning ordinance are to lessen congestion in the streets. So we're going from a driveway that serves one single family home to 17. So that doesn't really meet that criteria. To provide, where was I? To prevent the overcrowding of land. So again, we're going from one house with a barn to 17 families on this same land. To avoid undue concentration of population, same thing. So we're running into the articles of the zoning ordinance that we talk about for our town. Article 10, growth management ordinance, section 10.1, preamble, whatever, B, to preserve the scenic beauty and present aesthetic values of the town, which this doesn't meet that requirement. Aesthetic values, I like the look of these. They've done a lot of work on that, and I totally appreciate it. But we've got a house right now with green space all around it. And what we're going to put on there is 4 buildings with 17 townhomes with some perimeter landscaping, which I like the look of, and I think they've taken some care, but it's all pavement in the middle. We've entirely lost the sense of any building with green space around it. So I guess I would just say that this is not a NIMBY comment. That's not at all. I see the houses on Front Street being broken up into condos. It's happening, like, okay. I live on Gill Street in a not protected historic area. There's mixed-use stuff going on further out Front Street. Okay. But let's just think about the specific place that we're about to demolish and change forever. And I think that has to be part of the discussion. Anyway, with the comment about all the pavement and losing any sense of the green space that is now surrounding this home, that's buffering it on both sides from Gill Street and from the people who are going to be even closer on that other street. What is it, Parker? On Parker? I mean, those buildings are right there on them. So that's not even a Gill Street issue. But when I just think of all the pavement that's there, one comment that I'm going to make is that I was looking at these diagrams, and they've got these snow storage areas. And when I'm thinking of the snow that we just had and the enormous bulletproof mounds that we're dealing with and that are still melting, and those spots that are right there that they're going to plow all this pavement that doesn't exist right now and create huge mounds of snow, when that melts, it's going into my neighbors' yards. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, snow removal, whatever, has to be part of this equation. And I just implore the board to think very carefully, not about the design of this, because I think it looks really nice and they've taken a lot of care. Not about that, not about, can we develop more than one house? Yeah, you can, absolutely. But if it could just be a more mutual, agreeable thing, that's about half the size I don't think that you'd be running into as much acrimony as you are right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Morissette.
Roy Morissette, 12 and 14 Parker. Again, the fencing was talked about way back. I had mixed feelings which way I would want it to go. I'm happy with the plantings, but I would like the same consideration of the density that you're putting on the cemetery side and the Gill Street side, on the Parker Street side of the property. And I do have concerns because my back area was quite wet, you know, with all the melting that went on. And to have any additional runoff coming on, you know, is a concern to me. And like she was saying, I just don't know where you're going to put all that snow. I have an issue because I have a long shared driveway and, you know, the size of the mounds. And thank God I have a good neighbor that lets me throw some snow over the fence onto his side and that. So, you know, I do have, you know, some concerns about runoff in that. And I'd like the same consideration for the density on the Parker Street side for plantings.
Thank you. I'll just throw this in. We did a project over by Hall Street behind Walgreens, which used to be Bucky Rose Garden. That went to ZBA for some reason, and they approved it for 17 units. It ended up being 13 units for that exact purpose, to have some elbow room. So I think serious consideration might be given to taking one unit out of each of the four and get some green grass between them, or maybe make them doubles, whatever they are.
Duplex?
Duplexes, there we go. And narrow down the numbers. I agree completely. It's a very tight community. It's not really compatible with the existing community. The height of the buildings is really going to be noticeable. And it would be interesting to have some sort of renderings to show this, and sort of as we discussed with the other developer. But and that's a good ride over there to Hall Street, because it's a short street in there. That one's fenced around the whole thing.
I built it.
You right down the middle, and you built it. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. It works. It's even been expanded by a couple of people. Throw up some.
The pricing back then was around $300,000, believe it or not.
Yep.
And now that same building is probably $800,000. Things are changing out now. There's a yield on this piece of property. And it's
Use the mic.
yield.
Yeah, please.
And it's an expensive yield, so, you know, if there's a yield, it's a right to utilize that yield. That's what a developer has. Planning board's supposed to guide me in that direction. I'm trying to do the best I can. I could have gone in here, and I could have put all the homes on Gill Street. I could have gone in and popped houses in and out of there and squeezed it in, but I tried to do it in a manner where I could get the 17 and get the best use of it. And I think I did a fine job at it, to be quite frank. But to ask me to reduce the amount of units, it's not something I'm going to go along with. The yield is 17. David, have we proven now 17 is our yield?
Did you give me the 24 calculations?
Yeah.
Because they still shows 22 on the plans.
Yeah, there should be another line around that as well.
Okay.
That shows the 24. And what I did, David, is on that sheet, I put the calculations for the 24-foot next to the 22.
Thank you.
Where?
In the density.
So we can just show it. We can just walk through it. Just walk through it. It's right here on the presentation plan.
Yeah, okay.
On the top.
Yeah, there you go.
Because the ordinance allows this zone allows 3,500 square feet per dwelling unit. 3,500 square feet of lot area that you have per dwelling unit. That's the density. But it removes the driveway in, but not the parking areas associated with it. So what you see, where did you put, yeah, this one. You can see the outline of this roadway. See this hash mark right here? And then that is the driveway. So that is removed from the calculations. You take that square footage out, and you have the parcel area is 69,349 square feet. You minus the driveway area, 24 feet, 9,687 square feet you take out. You got 59,661 square feet left. You divide that by 30 feet, 3,500 feet, and it's 17.05 units. So
it's allowed.
that's what they get. That's,
Okay.
and that zoning has been, that density's been, I mean, it predated me. It's been that way, so I don't know how long.
And had I shortened the road even further and condensed it, I could get more yield, to be quite frank. It's just a matter of taking the road out. And this is the business I'm in, unfortunately. I'm a land developer. I build and I develop based upon the rules that are handed to me by the community that I'm working in. So I looked at the rules and I adhered to the rules. I mean, that's all I can do.
And Mr. Chairman, if I just could, just very quickly on the density. You know, I understand this looks like a lot of density, but this is also a 1.6 acre lot.
Yes.
Which sits in the middle of quarter acre, third acre parcels. The front lot to our southeast is a fourplex on 0.33 acres of land. I think it's 11 gil is a duplex on 0.28 acres of land. This is not outlandish density that the applicant is requesting here.
But I just want you to look at it.
I think
I'm comparing it with the rest of the neighborhood, too.
Understood.
There's not such density anywhere in that neighborhood.
He just went through a couple.
But this is the...
Yeah.
So for the density calculation, you don't have to remove the setbacks?
I don't know how big the 4-unit is. How big is that 4-unit, Christian? You know?
I don't know the size of it, Aaron, I'll be honest with
I'm
you.
just curious.
Takes up probably a third to a half of the 0.33 acres.
Yep. Yes, sir.
David Harrington, 114 French Street. I just want to make sure, I sent a letter to the board. It got in late. I just want to make sure you have it in front of you and that you promised to read it. Please, thank you very much. I just want to go along with the theme. I actually agree with the developer, but just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
That's what it's, that's.
Density, density, density. Mr. Brown's not listening, I'll wait.
I'm looking for your letter, bud.
It was on, it was on
Yeah,
our
it's
table.
right, it would have been right in front of
It
you.
was on the table.
I know I saw it because you just quoted the letter. Right? Because you can, doesn't mean you should. Isn't that in your letter?
It might be.
I think it is.
If it was catchy, I probably
it was
would.
there.
No, it's a catchphrase. Yeah, I remembered you saying it. That's why I thought I saw it. But I'm not locating it yet.
You want to borrow mine?
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I just want to stress again, the density of this project. I'm not going to claim to be a math whiz, but according to Google, the town of Exeter's most urban area, 1 square mile, has 7,600 people approximately in it. When you boil it down, if you put 4 people in each one of these units on 1.6 acres, that density is 40,000 people per square mile. 40,000. The size of the project, although possibly allowed, is overwhelming for the neighbors. Overwhelming. Appreciate the landscaping, appreciate all their efforts. It's overwhelming. I do want to make one point about the landscaping. They talked about blocking lights with some plantings right here where our house is. On the plans, it looks like those are 1 to 2 foot tall blueberry bushes. I don't know what lights those are going to block. The other trees are existing. So if they're going to be supplementing landscaping, maybe more than 2 feet to block headlights for cars would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is some type of blueberry.
Good evening, Jim Nealon, 5 Gill Street, here with my wife, Kristen. Over the last couple weeks and months, you've heard from, either in person or by letter, from every single one of the Gill Street abutters, from many of the Parker Street abutters, and from numerous other people in the neighborhood. And the opinion has been unanimous that people believe that this design is out of character with the neighborhood and it's too dense. This neighborhood has been intact for 130 years. These houses were built in the mid-1890s, as you probably know, and that neighborhood has remained unchanged since then. So this development is going to change the character of that neighborhood, one of Exeter's iconic neighborhoods, forever. It's not in keeping with the spirit or the letter of the zoning laws. It's not in keeping with the spirit or the letter of the town master plan, which calls on us and you to be stewards of our town's very unique cultural heritage. So we're your constituents. We're going to implore you to represent our interests at least equally to the interests of the developer in this, and to think long and hard about changing the character of this neighborhood forever. Thanks very much.
I have a question on that.
Thank you. Question?
I have a question. My question is for Jim.
Jim, got a question for you?
So when you say the project doesn't conform to the spirit or the letter, okay? So the letter, what does the letter mean?
Well, I don't have the town master plan in front of me, but I did read it twice before I came over, and it talks very directly about conserving the town's very unique historical heritage. And when you tear down ancient trees and historic houses to put in high-density townhouse units in a 130-year-old pristine Victorian neighborhood, you are violating the spirit and the letter of that plan.
So I'm going to add to what you said, though. I understand what you're saying, because we go by our master plan, but we also have to go by our ordinances and how they're written. So it's not about following constituents and viewpoints and things. What our role is really we have to follow the letter of the law, of the ordinances, and what's allowed and what isn't. So I just need to make sure you understand that it's not whether we personally like it or it's not factored in. It's really what is allowed and what isn't.
But you do represent us, and you especially.
Well, right now I'm a board member on the planning board, but yes, I still have to follow the ordinances. Okay.
Yes, Bill.
Just one quick point. That's a 1.6 acre lot. And somebody just mentioned, one of the developers, that the lots on Gill Street were like 0.25 or 0.33. If you allowed a third of an acre, you'd get 4.88 houses in the house, and it's 4.8 lots. If you allowed only a quarter acre, 0.25 divided, it comes out at something like 6 point something. So that would not be quite as dense if we allowed to have them put in single houses like there are on Gill Street.
And again, Mr. Chairman, I wasn't talking about the single-family houses. I was talking about the duplex and the fourplex.
Yes.
Which are on a quarter of an acre and a third of an acre respectively.
Yes, yeah.
Right. Smaller.
That's really what Nancy
Smaller.
was saying, you know, we got.
Hello, good evening again. Jeff Garska, 111 Front Street. I've got a question first for the board. You know, you've heard a lot from the abutters, including myself, over the last few meetings. And there's been a real theme here regarding the density. I've got a couple others, but density is the big one. I'm just curious, before this part of this meeting is over, could you just give us an idea, maybe each one of you or as a group, what you think the concerns are regarding this project, if any? If you don't have any concerns about it, please voice that. But I'd like to know, and I think other people would like to know before we close this out.
I don't understand the question.
You don't understand?
Your concerns or our concerns?
Your concerns.
You want to know my concerns?
Yeah. Before you close
Or you
it out.
want to know
because
what
then
we
you're
are hearing
Then you're
from you.
discussing it, and
Well, we
I'm not sure
discuss
if it opens back up. But I guess I'll just ask the questions then. What do you think? What do you guys think about the density? Do you think the density of this project supports itself on this piece of land? taking into account the parking, and let's just say this is a driveway, right? Right here. I mean, there's no guest parking, so what are people doing December 1st through, what is it, March 15th? Where do they park? Where are these people going? I don't know if do they take the train to come visit these people? I mean, I guess they could. It's convenient. We have a train nearby, a train station. But I don't understand how the parking is working here. I'm seeing the driveway and everything, all this density is calculated, and we've got this little driveway that goes from here to here. I see this driveway is going here. I see this driveway is going here. How else are you getting here unless the driveway goes over here? I don't understand. I just don't understand the drawing. Does anybody else see that? Am I the only one?
Behind the garage doors for extra parking, correct?
Correct.
That's why.
Is there enough space for
The
that?
garage. and
There
back.
absolutely is. In front of every garage, there is a standard 9x19 space, 2 of them. In front of every one of those garages. Each and every one of these units has 4 parking spaces.
So four parking spaces goes with each unit.
Yes.
It's all passed through technical.
But they add
Just use
3
the mic.
bedrooms. And could easily have 3 vehicles.
Mr. Chairman, could I?
Yes.
Could I just expand on the question? Maybe you could answer it. So you pointed out that the driveway ends at the end of the third big building. So when you take a right and you head up to the farthest point, you have the 20 feet of where you can park in front of the garage. But you also have another 20 feet.
Push the button.
Right.
You also have another 20 feet up here. Why isn't that driveway? Is that
Part of the parking area.
Well, it's my question.
And that's how the zoning reads, is that it's the access to the parking areas.
I guess I'm going to need some help maybe from staff as to what's the difference.
Let me,
I mean,
I'll read
think of it this way, you don't have a parking lot without travel aisles. Travel aisles aren't the road in.
So I guess these people right here, if this is the driveway, this could be their parking all the way to here, and they could block this, right? Somebody could park all the way to here, that's parking area, correct?
No, they're only going to use half of that space.
Well, then why isn't it driveway? I don't know, I'm just not understanding the drawing.
Yeah.
All right. Last time I was here, I brought up the zoning of this parcel, how it was split zoning before 1988, and then after the 1988 town warrant vote, it turned into C1. The only real proof of that is the tax map. And that's the way we left it. I was wondering, does anybody else have any other information about that? I wasn't able to get any more, so that's why I'm asking the question. All right, well, I mean, that being the case, I mean, to me, there's a question of whether this parcel is even zoned C1. I mean, I did the digging, everybody in town did, and nobody came up with any discussion anywhere. It just appeared as C1 one day after that vote. Should have appeared as R2 in my mind, looking at it from a zoning perspective. And that concerns me. That concerns me because that's why we're here. That's why they have this density that the board, I'm not sure if the board is really going to address or not. And what does that leave us for any relief? Legal action? Zoning board, legal action? I mean, that's, I guess, what my land attorney told me.
Talking to a planning board right now.
Right.
This isn't the
Well,
select board.
this is density, right?
You're
We're
talking to
about
the
density
planning
right now.
board right now.
I understand
Not the
that, but
select
we're
board
talking
and
about-
not the zoning board.
So are you guys
just
gonna
heard the
approve-
town planner tell you what he believes the density is.
And I'm asking for proof.
You weren't here, though.
Yeah,
Aaron,
he
last
watched
week.
it, though.
I did watch it.
Explain that again, Jeff, but
He watched it.
This
We
person,
need to go- we need
if he
to go
watched
through
it,
I
then
watched
he
it too.
understands. I think it's pertinent because we're looking at approving this for the number of units. That has to go to density, which goes to the zoning, which goes to whether, how the zoning was approved.
We're the
and whether
planning
it's-
board.
Right.
We're not the code enforcement officer.
So
We're
the
not the
code,
zoning board.
so the code
And we have the
enforcement
opinion of our
officer is
town
deciding.
planner, who's a paid employee of the town of Exeter, telling us as a planning board what he believes the density is. That's our job, to confirm density. It's not to be lawyers or interpret the zoning, frankly.
Or something that happened
We
20
rely on
years
other
ago.
people.
Understood, but Dave wasn't here at that time, you know?
Well,
Dave is here now.
I can chime in on that because I was with Bob. That according to our official zoning map today, it's C1. And it was C1, it was bifurcated before the vote. And then the official map came out right after the vote and it's C1. I don't know, like, you don't find any written whatever, but that's what you go by. You go by the official zoning map. And the official zoning map has it as C1, and it's been zoned C1 for
38 years.
Almost 40
Yeah.
years.
So,
Wouldn't
So
that
that's,
be, wouldn't that be the
yeah,
notes from
that's-
that town meeting? The town?
yeah, it was done at town meeting a vote.
The
and then
citizens voted, yeah.
But the warrant article was broad, like it was general when it said we're gonna not have bifurcation zones anymore. Do you want to make, so it didn't articulate which one, and it was multiple things.
Yeah.
So all we can rely on
Is that.
is the map that was created after it, and the map has this is C1, so it's zone C1.
And Mr. Chairman, may I add to
And
that?
no one appealed that, no one appealed it, no one
Yes.
brought it.
Taxed as C1.
Yes,
And it's
Christian.
been C1 for 38 years.
Right.
Yeah,
So
and I
it-
went back and looked through the maps prior to and post that vote. And the parcel directly to our north was bifurcated, and the parcel directly above that was bifurcated, and it looked pretty plain that what they did is they created the R2 C1 line between the back of the Gill Street abutters and this property, and all they were doing is if a parcel was partially on their front in the C1, they just captured the entire parcel.
The whole parcel.
That's the same with the parcel to our north, the parcel to the north of that. It follows very plainly. I don't think there was any mistake. I mean, it's pretty simple.
All the proof
And
we
again,
found
And
leads
it's
to
been that way
C1.
for
Right, they
almost
just
40
simplified
years.
it.
And, I mean, I have a hard time believing if that was a mistake, it would have gotten caught in 40 years.
Well, forgive me, but I have a different perspective on that.
I'm sure you do.
well,
Yeah.
Well, there is an appeal process.
Understood. The last thing was the actual scale of the buildings. The building in the front is about 30 feet high. So we're looking at least 4 or 5 feet. And then the length, gentleman had mentioned one of the people who were up here mentioned the actual width of the building. I don't remember what that is. But, what is it?
96.
All right, so 96, and then we've got, it's going to be 34, 34 and 9/10, I would assume. From these drawings, I guess it's possible, but, you're looking at, just take a look at that building on Front Street, that's 30 feet, add 5 feet and double it, almost triple it, I guess. And that's what we're looking at. And that's, and then there's 4 of those. Again, just because you can do it, it's true, great line. You don't have to. Sometimes you just have to do the right thing. And that's not always the easy thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to mention that after the last meeting, the very next morning,
Could you
went right into Barbara.
introduce yourself, please?
Oh, sorry, Sam McCarker. Yep. And it is C1. It has been C1. It's commercially zoned. It could be 50 feet high, 10 feet off the property lines, everything else. So it's an allowed use, what we're putting in. We did not ask for any zoning relief. We've been through technical review. We've addressed all of that. And, here we are now at the planning board. We did take our architect to look at the buildings that were federal style near the academy. We came in with that. We're doing real siding, red brick, the landscaping, everything we could to try to keep it historic-looking building. Then based on the feedback from the abutters wanting additional landscaping, fencing, We've gone back, we've made those changes, and Mr. Plummer, based on your input, we've modified the building again to break it up. The property right to the right of us, which Mr. Beals had mentioned, is .33 acres. It abuts a multifamily residential. This gentleman here that just spoke introduces himself as 111. He's actually 111-113. He is in a multifamily residential directly across the street with parking to the left and a very modern-looking garage in the back of that property. Bill, I mean, we've known each other for decades, same church, everything else. I mean, you've continued to come here. I appreciate it, and I respect your input. However, it's not a historic district. We've worked with the Heritage Committee on the plans. There was no legal obligation or anything else. We went with them, we showed them. They were happy. It's not going to be vinyl boxes like where Miss Sue's old dance studio is. That's the lofts or something. There's a lot of multifamily there, all down Front Street. And this is, at least in my opinion, a very nice building. And we've put a lot into it, and a lot of thought. And again, it's an allowed use. And I know you could speak, and I don't want to go tit for tat, but I know you were at the Riverwoods meeting, and I didn't see you once stand up and oppose the big building there. Riverwoods, the memory care building, with all the abutters. Not once you stood up, but you continue to come here, Bill. But I just want to point that out. So, all right.
Yeah.
I don't think the Riverwoods is historic yet.
Yeah.
This isn't historic either. It's not a historic district. It's a commercially zoned property.
By zoning, yes.
Yes.
That wasn't necessary.
Not by history.
Hey, let's
Yeah.
keep the comments above the belt.
Please.
I believe the
Yeah.
board,
That was not,
I believe the board has a letter from Francois, who's chairman of our Heritage Commission, and that came in, I think, maybe now, maybe at the first part when you had, but she said that we wanted to keep the front part of that building and preserve that for the front part of the Merrill House would be our preference. We did not say we liked this particular building. Right. And I can't remember everything else was in her letter, but the Heritage Commission was not in favor of this kind of a development. And as far as Riverwoods goes, there's reasons why I can't comment.
That's understood. But he's correct. He's correct about the Heritage Committee. They wanted it to stay, and you've even also mentioned, could we save the front? We looked at it, and it was not feasible. But then we went ahead and designed something that we thought was historic, with real brick chimneys, the hip roof, an exact federal, even to the windows. The third floor window was going to be smaller, just like what you see downtown. We made the doors 42 inches instead of 36, dressed up around the windows and the doors, the molding, the corner boards. I mean, you really can't tell from the picture, but the finished product is going to be a very nice looking product that's there. So, and we even reached out to Barbara at the Historic District about giving me something that I was going to take a block of the granite foundation, etch it to something to recognize the previous landowner and put it out front. And we've even called it Merrill Commons to acknowledge the family that was there as well. So I think we've gone above and beyond with no legal obligation just to try to keep it, with the town. So that's it.
Well,
Mr. Chair, can I ask a clarification question about the density calculation?
Yes, sure.
When you calculated the square footage of that driveway, were you calculating on a 22-foot wide driveway or a 24-foot wide driveway?
Originally 22, then we added 24 after Mr. Sharp's
Okay,
comments.
that's the 22, 24 that you were
Yep.
talking about?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. I think in the packet that is still drawn at 22.
Correct, and.
It is
then you
drawn at
go-
22 because that's what we're proposing.
That note,
Okay.
24-foot driveway. That was the, See that? 24-foot driveway. It didn't get moved, though,
Okay.
because it's 22 on the plans. But the Christian is saying that he added 2 feet
Got it.
along the southern side, because you can't add it into the parking area or whatever, You just had 2 feet on one side, and that was part of this calculation.
Okay.
That other drain is still there?
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, the answer to that is if this board doesn't approve the waiver, we simply go back to the entire entrance drive being the pervious pavement.
Regarding storm, snow and storm storage, would it be possible that in some situations, some winters, when we are generally provided with snow, that some of that snow would be trucked away to keep?
It's certainly plausible.
Sure.
Yeah, if our snow storage areas get full, that is a note that actually appears
Yeah,
on the
okay.
plans, that will have to be trucked off and disposed of legally.
Yeah, yep.
And somebody made a comment, Mr. Chairman, specific to the meltwater.
Yes.
And I would point out, all of the pavement, aside from that 80 feet, whatever it is, of the entrance drive, is pervious pavement. We've got 2 infiltration ponds. All of the walkways as well are pervious pavers. And if you look on the landscape plan, she's got a bunch of the little landscape areas in between those patios that are intended to be a decorative rock mulch. So again, that's going to be more pervious than the grass that would normally be there. There is absolutely going to be no additional runoff leaving this property to any abutting property.
And you've done all the like percolation tests and stuff that?
Yep, we actually had field percolation testing, and our soil scientists did, I think, 4 test bits to log the soil horizons as well. Very sandy soils.
Jim Davis, 115 Front. I want to know who's going to maintain the pervious pavement. According to my research, and it's recommended that you do not store snow on pervious pavement.
It's not getting stored on the pavement.
It's not.
No.
So who's going to maintain the pervious though? Because they recommend you don't use sand, just
Correct.
salt. So who's going to maintain that?
The homeowners association.
Okay.
Or the management company that they hire. In addition, you don't use a steel plow on it. You use a rubberized plow, and oftentimes it's elevated somewhat.
And snow removal from Front Street to here, where is that going to be stored?
It gets stored either on the left in the grassed area or on the right in the grassed area.
And no snow is going to be plowed on Front Street.
No snow will be plowed onto Front Street.
And I also want to comment on your mention of a fourplex and a duplex. The fourplex is on Gill in front. Is that correct?
Yes.
That was not torn down and made into a fourplex. That was a single-family home with a barn, and they remodeled it.
I'm well aware of that, and I never said that it was. I was simply
No, but
demonstrating
you're
density.
referring to it that it's a fourplex.
It is.
Yeah, but it was always.
And it's on
single-
0.33 acres.
Right.
So we're trying to compare apples to apples.
Thank you.
Sorry, I know everybody's tired. Just a clarification. So when you make a commitment about snow storage and that sort of thing, I just want to be clear. Won't you guys be out of the picture? Aren't you not in a position to make those commitments since management of
Absolutely
the?
not. We are-
No, just
we- we
let
will
me
be
ask
out
the
of the
question.
picture.
Let me ask the question.
I thought you just did.
I'm still asking the question. Thank you.
It's a long question. Let her rip.
Thank you.
Oh, my God. No.
Won't
please
management of the property be turned over to a condo association or a management company that they hire?
Of course.
And so you guys will not be around to enforce the commitments that you're making, is that correct?
We will not be, absolutely.
It'll be the homeowners with
A homeowners association?
Right, but
Mike.
they're not, they don't exist yet, so they're not a party to these commitments that you're making. That's my point.
Running right now, they run very, very well.
And all of the documents, the stormwater inspection and maintenance manual, all has to get turned over to the condo owners as they purchase their properties.
And there should be language in the declaration book.
Without question. And all of the details are within the plan set as well as a stormwater inspection and maintenance manual. It's all laid out to the letter. Dave, did Exeter still sign into stormwater agreements? Or is that a thing of the past?
No, we make it a condition of approval that your stormwater operations and maintenance plan, in particular, everyone calls them differently, but yours is a log form.
Yeah.
You call it a log form, and your inspection checklist for your infiltration ponds need to be submitted annually on or before
Right, on the-
January 31st to the town engineer. So after this is approved, whoever owns it, well, it's homeowners association. And then when we review the documents, the condo documents, it needs to be included in the condo documents as a requirement. So we have legal authority to require it. So, I mean.
Understood.
That's, predict the future to who's going to do what, I can't not do that. But we do our best to make the conditions of approval to ensure long-term maintenance of stormwater features.
Can I ask who oversees that during construction, that the builder is complying?
Okay, I was talking about post-construction stormwater management, BMP's long-term maintenance of the completed. During the construction, we have a pre-construction meeting with town staff, and we have UEI, we hire Underwood Engineers Incorporated to do the third-party inspections, and they actually go out to the site and monitor the site, alert, if there's any type of issues, the silt fence blows out, or, hay bale falls over, whatever, with a great erosion control of the site, and that's how we deal with it. And the UEI takes care of that, notifies the developer addresses the issue. Issues happen, quite a bit, like, heavy rains happen, so they need to be maintained. Those on-site stormwater during construction, during construction, BMPs have to be maintained. And we inspect that, and if they need to be maintained, we let them know that.
Mr. Chair, may I?
Yes.
Make 2 points. So, one, having the snow storage that close to Front Street, can we move that back? I mean,
The
the
bulk
line
of
of
it
sight,
actually is.
I know, but there's still, there's still storage there, and line of sight on Front Street where we're already concerned about added traffic. I'd prefer, anyway, to see that not be there. That store, you don't have a lot of room there.
Are you talking about this one?
Yeah, no, right close to Front Street.
Between the building and the
Between the,
driveway.
both
That's
places.
not,
He just said that those two places.
it's not listed on the plans as
I
snow
was talking
storage.
about between the two buildings beyond the first parking aisle.
This is not identified
I
as snow
didn't think
storage.
it was either, but.
Yeah, no.
It's all along.
Okay, then I'm
I
fine.
should have used the pointers.
Yeah, it would have been helpful, but okay, fine.
Yeah.
The way I took what he said previously a few minutes ago, when he said it was going to be there and there. And then the homeowners documents, the draft, have you done that at all? We talked about that on the sidewalk, and
Yeah, that's a requirement that we always just, it's a condition of approval.
okay.
Because it's
Thank
got to
you.
go through your town attorney as well.
Okay.
They do a review.
I know we've done them
Yeah.
and we've seen.
Yeah,
them
it's usually,
before.
yeah. Condo docs are a state, like a state requirement.
Yes.
So planning boards they can't require that to be done prior to approval. They can make it a condition of approval.
And to make sure that
That's-
all the
Yeah, that's
concerns
like
that
a
we've
state
been
dredge and
told.
fill, straight dredge and fill permit, the condo attorney general approval, because the attorney general needs to approve
Absolutely.
the condo docs. That, we can't require that gets done beforehand. We can only make it a condition of approval.
But
when we
would
do.
could those conditions of approval, my understanding is they can include some of the abutters' concerns about maintenance and upkeep and things like that. Is that allowed? Or no?
What specifically? The stormwater maintenance is, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's always a condition. It's
Yep,
one of our standard conditions.
I want to make sure these
Yep.
guys understand that, since it
Vegetation.
might be their only time dealing with us, so.
Yeah,
okay.
landscaping is also covered under condition, like any dead or dying vegetation, as long as this plan remains valid. So it's going to be a very long time if it's condos. That has to be replanted the following growing season.
Thank you.
So, they're committing to that landscaping, and when someone buys it, they're committing to maintain that landscaping as shown on the plans, per plan.
Okay, thank you.
Adele, there's a microphone right there.
I have one just last question.
Can you use the microphone, please? Just pull it closer to you.
I just have one last question. For me, anyway, I'm hoping that all these sell for everybody's benefits over here, but what if they don't, because the beautiful blue condos that they built didn't become condos, they became apartments. And my concern is that what if all those units don't get sold as condos and they then get turned into apartments? What safety do we have? Or if there is, I don't know. That's just my concern. More transient population going in and out. We have in our condo docs that there has to be a year if you're going to rent your place or whatever. But those kinds of little things that happen in condominium associations, fortunately, we're in a small one, but this is going to be much bigger. I was just thinking about, well, what if it doesn't get to be all condos? What if it becomes apartments like that beautiful building on the corner there?
It doesn't, I can answer that, if I may?
Sure.
It doesn't change, the ownership doesn't change everything I just said. The dead and dying vegetation, the stormwater needs to be maintained. If it's rentals, then it's one owner. Then one owner is responsible for all of that and needs to do that. If there's condo owners, there's multiple owners, and they create an association, and the association is the entity that's responsible for that. So they're both responsible, it's just which entity is it? Is it an individual owner, or is it a homeowners association?
Or all those apartments, I think it's called Colquitt Pond, where the Aroma Joe's is way back there.
Yeah, that's owned by Avesta.
Okay, I don't know, I didn't even know it was there, but there's a lot of apartments
Yep.
that are there, and there's a lot of transit.
Yeah, and in that
And
case,
that's
it's
my
Avesta
concern.
Housing who owns that.
Yeah.
They're responsible for everything. They're responsible to submit the annual stormwater requirements. They're responsible to maintain any dead or dying vegetation.
That's what I needed to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yep. Thanks for the question. Wow, the hour's getting late here.
Yes.
Are you gonna try to deal with any waivers? You're gonna?
I still have quite a few questions about the plans.
Yeah, I
that
think we,
we haven't gotten to. I think it's too late to get into it now, but
Oh, okay.
I don't know which direction you want to go. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah,
that I still have
yeah. Well, I
questions
have
and
other questions too, construction schedule and those kinds of things. Yeah.
Why don't you let Jen put something on the table and see where it goes?
Okay.
It's not 11, it's not.
No.
Yeah, your rules of procedure is no new business after 10, you adjourn at 10:30. So you still have 15 minutes.
Might as well use them.
Keep going.
Jen.
All right. Let me see. I was thinking it would go to next week. Lighting plan. I can start there. Can we maybe flip to the lighting plan?
We missed that. Gwen is there.
Is that the lighting plan?
No, it's got circles on it. It's sheet.
Do you have only the sheets you
No,
submitted?
I've got the full set from last time, which I can certainly pop open.
Oh.
You're gonna have to get that.
Yeah.
Because it's not one of your revised sheets.
No, okay.
No,
Yeah, it's sheet 8.
Starting to get exhausted.
Knock it back.
No,
Okay,
it's all set.
knock it back.
That's
Right there.
No.
Yep.
You sure?
Yeah, no, don't throw it away.
I'm not gonna. I was
I
gonna
got
fill it.
So my question on the lighting plan is I'm seeing one pole top light at the driveway entrance. And then I'm seeing that sort of sconce light at, I guess, the
Oh, lighting
garages.
you're talking about, okay.
Is there no light at the front of the buildings? Like, why is that not being shown?
On the backside, I'm sure there will
Back?
be the safety lighting for the doors, Jen, but that would be it.
The front, Christian.
The
The
front.
front that no one sees.
Well, the front along Front Street.
Gonna have a light for Halloween.
Yeah, those will have safety lighting, just a canister of whatever John chooses at the door.
On the building.
You know, like any other front door.
So that won't contribute to site lighting at all? It won't contribute to the photo, like that path that goes along the north fence won't have any light on it? Is that what you're telling me?
It'll have a 60-watt bulb, essentially.
But, so it won't contribute to the photometrics? It'll be zero?
That's what we are told by Sharon, who did the lighting engineering.
Okay.
So those lights will light the driveway and to get around out back?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Are they on a common switch or?
No, those are building mounted, and each one of the units will have a switch to their own.
Okay.
My assumption is they will likely at night be motion censored.
Yeah. Okay.
So like that path that goes around the building to the back/front of the building won't be lit, won't have any light?
Won't be lit unless somebody has their door light on.
Right, but that path doesn't have a door front facing it.
Yeah, that's four doors.
Which path?
The path that goes around the south side of Unit Q,
Yeah, those have doors in them.
there's doors on the side?
Oh, on the side, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about the back.
Oh.
Yep, that's true.
Okay. All right, so that was one of my questions.
Well, I mean, can you guarantee they won't have a light there?
Right.
Well, it's not proposed.
Yeah. Highly likely.
I feel like it's not realistic that there won't be any light.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you're gonna want light there,
Yeah.
and then it's gonna be an afterthought, and then
Yeah.
it
should be on the plan.
should be on the plan,
Yeah.
if there's gonna be light there.
Sorry to interrupt, David Harrington again, 114. So I think you're talking about between 114, my property, and the front or back, who could tell from these plans, this.
Well, yeah, I was actually
So
talking about
they've got the lights here, which we can see, but what I hear them saying, portico lights or some kind of lights, there's potentially 16 or 20 lights here in my backyard that are gonna be on a motion sensor. So every time a raccoon goes by, I've got Las Vegas. It's not on the plan, so.
Yeah, I didn't say there would be motion sensors on the door lights. I said there would be motion sensors on the garage lights.
One of you said portico lights. So is portico lights on this side?
I think we need to improve
it should be
the
on the
lighting
plan, is my
plan.
point.
Yeah, I can
And
reach
get
out
the
to
lights that you expect to be on the structures on the plan, so we can analyze that as a board and.
And I promise the last thing I'll
It'll be
say
helpful.
tonight, is there a way for the public to get these plans solidified as either an as-built, I don't know what you call it? They're incredibly confusing. I've got 16 years of higher education and I can't follow these plans. I can't tell you what's gonna be built on Front Street. I can't tell you what's got a hip roof, what doesn't. Will this come to a final plan before you vote, and will we get to see it?
Yeah, we'll be voting on a plan, and you'll be here if you're here.
Will we get to see it beforehand? The week before? It has to be
Typically, it
submitted?
goes, I don't know how quickly it goes on the website.
Yeah, it goes on the website the week before the meeting.
Yeah.
And if the planning board approves that plan, I mean, I've never seen you folks approve a plan that you got handed to that
No.
evening.
Okay,
So
that's my question.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Except there might be a
this
rendering on
hodgepodge
the
of
other
plans
one.
can't get approved. Nobody can read them. It's 22 feet, it's 24 feet, we may have this, we may have that, there might be lights, there might not be lights. We need real plans before you vote on this, that's all I'm asking.
Yep. I don't know, well, wait a minute, what real plans? I mean.
Accurate plans, that's what's gonna be built. Is it 24 feet, is it 22 feet? Do I have lights, do I not have lights? Is it a 6-foot vinyl fence that John has disparaged a couple of times? Is it not a 6-foot vinyl fence?
It's all called out on this plans, and I mean, I see your confusion, I get confused too.
You guys are confused, we're watching you be confused.
Yeah, but that's pretty much almost every plan set I ever
Yeah,
had.
we
So
always ask for
it's-
clarification,
it's-
and we ask for the plans to be modified.
Yeah.
We're in process.
Just for my
So there
point-
will be a final plan.
Excellent.
That you will see, that we will approve or disapprove.
Can you tell me, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, if the front building facing Front Street is a hip roof or a gable roof?
It's a hip.
Yeah, it's a hip
I
roof.
asked Mr. Brown.
Oh, sorry.
It's a hip roof. They showed it to us.
Okay.
They
Is the
have a
back-
picture of it.
Is the back a gable roof or a hip roof? Because we've seen two renditions of the same building.
The hip in the front is the hip in the back. The gable in the front is the gable in the back.
Which is the Front Street building, the one that's 16 feet from my house?
It's a front, it's a hip roof. You're gonna see a hip roof on your side. The front of it's a hip, the side's a hip, and the rear is a hip.
Okay. And on this lighting plan right now, there's just one light in that corner that is approximately 20 feet from my house. So we're certain that they can't put a spotlight on the corner that's not on the plan. If it's not on the plan, they can't hang it, is what you're telling me?
They're not supposed to.
No, because.
I mean, they have property rights.
Because you yourself could put lights in your backyard if you wanted to tomorrow. That goes with the same.
Yes, I can.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. So you have more flexibility than they do, because they can add lighting. They can,
I'm not
homeowners
talking
can
about the
add lighting.
homeowners. I'm talking about them as built. Them as built, they have to build it to plan. I don't care if a
Correct.
homeowner.
Oh, okay, yes.
Just like I can put up a
Yes.
stereo system
Yes.
of dogs
Correct.
barking all day long
Correct.
while they're trying to sell
Correct.
their property.
They build it per plan.
He laughs.
But then
You
someone
don't know
else
me very
can,
well.
but I'm just, saying, because then somebody else can come in and buy a home and, okay, I want to put a light here, and they put a light.
But as built.
we protect people on these type of plans where we don't have that same protection against you putting lights.
Correct.
Is we require all lighting downlit and shielded, so no direct light is visible from abutting property lines.
Right.
So that's a condition on this. It's not on a condition on any of the other houses
Right.
that surround this.
But you understand my concern, it's not drawn right now specific. There's a lot of, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. I potentially could have 16 to 20 lights in porticos going on every time an animal walks by all night long, as drawn.
The
Because
lights from
you
this
don't know what's going
plan,
there.
the lights from this plan should not go beyond the property line.
That's.
So if you're looking
no
at their
light-
property,
there's no
then
light
you will
drawn.
see lights go off and on occasionally, because you're looking at your butters.
But there's no light right there on the plan, and they're telling me there's gonna be a portico light.
We've
Well, that
asked
doesn't
them-
mean it shows up
we've
on
already
this
asked them to
photometric
approve the
plan, because the
so-
foot candles could be so small, and it doesn't go beyond the extent of the portico.
Okay.
So it might not even show. I mean, if you're talking a 60-watt bulb, so that could be it. But we'll work with them and get a plan.
Yep, that'll come along.
And we'll be able to explain it, what's going on.
I should.
Okay.
It's getting late, yeah.
Any other?
Again, so
Jen, any other questions?
they're gonna go
I don't know if I
back
should keep going, Mr.
and
Smith.
improve the lighting
He
plan.
has a medical family emergency
Okay.
that's in the ER.
I guess, yeah,
So
Oh.
he had to go. I'm just gonna take
Oh,
the notes
wow.
on what you're mentioning.
That's fine.
all right. You want me to keep going? Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
We only got
All right.
another 5 minutes anyway.
I wanted to talk about the snow storage area, or the big snow storage area at the infiltration pond, because there's quite a few plants in there that will not tolerate having snow plowed over them.
I mean, the Blue Jay, Blueberry, and the,
The Robin Hill Serviceberry, the October Glory Red Maple might be okay, but it's just,
If it gets a chance.
it is a lot of snow, because that's kind of the main snow storage area, and I don't think it's realistic to say, oh, this is where we're gonna store all our snow, but we're also gonna put all these beautiful plants here, because they won't survive. Additionally, I think the mail kiosk is probably not in a good location for snowplows trying to get to the snow storage area. I'm not a plow driver, but if I was, I would be probably I'd probably knock that thing over. Again, knowing that they somehow.
Especially in the middle of a blizzard, right? You're running out of space. Get out of my way.
Out of here.
So maybe move the mail kiosk out of the snow storage area
One
would
thing
be a
about snowplowing,
recommendation.
just so you are aware, is that these snowplow guys are really high-tech, and there's no more plows. They have buckets, they move it, they snowplow it. It's very, very high-tech, and we only hire the top-quality companies. So snow's not piled up with a plow. It's really, very, very...
Yeah.
If there's enough of it, it is.
Right.
Yeah.
We have to-
I think the comment about the mail kiosk is absolutely 100%, because I had the same thought.
Yeah.
Because they're
Very
going in a
bad location.
snowstorm and then trying to take a right and boom, it's right there,
Yeah.
yeah. That's,
But it'll be,
is the post office gonna dictate where that goes? Are they gonna go onto the site?
yeah,
Okay.
and they may have a say in where they want the mailbox, right?
If you can get to talk to a postmaster and get them out there, it's almost impossible.
I plan it 3 months ahead.
Are there any curbs on the site, or is this completely
They didn't want 'em.
curbless?
No curbs at all.
The
No
engineer.
curbs. Okay,
Forest pavement.
Forest pavement, so.
yeah.
The fire didn't want them, actually. They didn't want to damage their tires as well.
Can I, Jen, before you go any further, can I just, really, the post office, it's not gonna be a road, it's a driveway. The post office is gonna go in your driveway?
Very common. They want, as long as there's one pickup spot, they're glad to do it.
Okay, thank you.
They love that.
I only see mailboxes on the sides of the road, so.
They're going to Sterling Hill, right?
That's if they
Yeah,
come.
but that's a road. There's a road in.
It's private.
Private road.
It's still a road.
I know, but they could actually.
Well, this is technically a road by
They
our
come
ordinance
into the
too.
lobby of the
'Cause it-
It's a driveway, though.
Yeah.
No, it's,
If it's a
according
road,
to our
we have
site
to
plan
name it,
regs.
don't we?
Huh?
If it's a road, we have to, doesn't it have to have a name if it's technically a road?
No, it doesn't have to have a name.
A
Okay.
private road, right?
They're asking for a waiver because it's technically a road.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
know
I think we're,
I was
yeah,
gonna
getting into the
ask
weeds
you
here,
that
but
when we get there.
effectively doesn't matter whether it's a driveway or a road.
Okay, look, it's
Yeah.
getting late, and.
Yes, it is.
I'm just trying to clarify as we go.
Can you talk about trash?
Yeah, we got toters. We have 2 toters in the garage. They kept them in the garage. We use a private hauler. Unless the city, we did it, as a matter of fact, in Wild Apple. The city hauler said, we're gonna come on there, because they want the use, and they'll probably come to this property as well. So they come in and pick them up.
Can you,
Do they come in with those
can you
huge
slow that
huge
down a
heavy-
little bit for lay people who don't understand waste management?
We use private toters. There's always a trash toter, and there's a recycle.
These the big bins, the big plastic
yeah,
bins
the
that we
ones
have? Okay.
Flip open, and,
Yep.
they pick them up, and quite frankly, the ones that pick them right up and do them. And,
Okay.
We use the, who's the service in Exeter? Because they,
Waste management?
Waste management.
yeah, so they're working on Wild Apple private road. They wanted to come on there. They want to. Sometimes they don't. We have private haulers that will come on if they do not. But we make sure that the toters are kept in the garage.
That's a very different situation, so they
Yeah.
might not feel the same way
No,
about this.
I was gonna say.
That's a private road with you don't know the difference between that and a public road.
Right,
And it has a
Upper
full
Ways.
cul-de-sac that you turn
They
around,
want the
so.
product. These trash companies want the product. They really don't. So they come out.
And it'll be up to the homeowners association to decide, right?
Who they go with,
Yeah.
yep.
My concern is the way that the vehicles come in once a week to do that job. Those
That's
are
why the
big trucks.
engineer had us put that first piece, about 80 feet, as regular pavement for that exact purpose.
Stops there and, okay,
Yeah.
back in the driveway and take care of it, that's fine, yeah.
Yeah, that's why. And also for the vehicles turning in, they
Oh,
wanted
yes,
that
I
regular
mean,
pavement and
they're
not
big
porous.
machines, yep.
They're saying the trash trucks are gonna
I was
stop near
gonna
the
say, I
entranceway?
couldn't even see that
Go
happening,
get the
but okay.
barrels?
Yeah,
They'll decide that. They could stop on Front Street and you can bring them all out. I don't see that happening
We
though.
have
It doesn't.
private companies that are out there, other private haulers that do haul. We've got a lot of.
okay. That's it.
So no dumpsters is the answer. This will
Yeah,
cover
there's no
people's
dumpsters.
garages.
Yeah,
Okay.
no dumpsters. Yeah. They have to deal with it some way.
You have the drawings have a parking stall for the physically challenged in the details, but there's nothing in the plans. Yeah, I just, don't show it on your plans, I would recommend, because it's very confusing. In addition, there's a detail that's not, that didn't print in the 313 packet. Probably just a layer management issue, but I would just tell Kristen to make sure that prints, because right now it's just, you've got like weird.
What detail was that?
I think so I had to look back at the other one. I think it's the concrete washout area detail on sheet 10. And then on that note, I have a request that we get a full set every submission, because getting the set of only the pieces, it's super confusing, and I'm like flipping back and forth, and it's hard to read. And I'm a landscape architect, I look at plans every day for my job, and I'm like, this is challenging.
Would my landscape designer be able to contact you with some?
No, I'm sorry, I don't do free work.
I understand that, but I was, you're going to review this at some point. You're looking to enhance landscaping on the west side and also on the south side.
Yeah, tell her to beef it up.
Okay, keep it up.
I would also ask, there's an existing very large beech tree on the site, which I'm assuming is as old as the house. To me, it's
She tells me it's going to be dead in 5 years.
You're welcome to come look at it.
regardless, I'm not saying you can't you can't build this without removing
There's a
it.
bad disease, and everybody should know about it as a landscape architect. There's a disease that's going to kill every beech that's out there in 5 years. Have you heard about that? She told me.
I have.
Yeah.
It's sad.
From a tree expert?
There are arborists. No, it's true. There is a disease that may wipe out all of our beaches, and it's very sad. However, there are some somewhat more resistant varieties. There's potential that there could be treatments in the future. I would encourage you to plant a beech tree and see how it goes. You know, maybe in 10 years it'll die and it'll have to be replaced. But I think in honor of, you're trying to rebuild
I'm glad to.
a
I love
historic
these trees. I was
house.
very disappointed when she told me that. She goes, I said, they want to save this tree. She goes, it's going to be dead in 5 years. Because that's what's going on. There's a major
Alright.
disease.
That one started already in the middle of it. You can see
Yeah.
it. And the one branch came off from the wind and right at the center. It's like black coming down in between the trunk.
All right, well,
But I got that planted beech tree. Yeah.
no, I wouldn't say,
A young tree may be beyond that and healthy enough to survive. I don't know.
or maybe, okay, so maybe instead of, and I get that she doesn't want to plant a tree that's destined for, I wouldn't want to do that either. How about in honor of the beech tree, a significant specimen tree on the site? Like something unique and different that's kind of in a special area, that has a really big mulch area. It's not going to be in snow storage, something like a really nice big oak or something that, you put it in big and it's just like a signature piece. I can't mandate that, but I would recommend it. I think it's sad.
I think we're getting the hook, Jen.
Good.
You did a great
I think
job
I'm
bringing us
done.
to the finish line.
I think I'm done.
I think I have a motion over here.
Good night.
January.
I'm going to make a motion. Are you guys going to be ready for the next meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
27th?
We'd be first on the agenda. Can you make that motion?
I don't have that power.
All right.
I'm going to make a motion to continue the hearing for Planning Board Case Number 24-17 to March 17th, 2025 at 7 PM at the NOAC.
March 27th.
What did I say, 25?
You said 17.
Oh, 27th. I wrote
27th.
I will
Wrote it
second for
down.
27th.
And did you say 7 PM?
7 PM.
NOAC room?
NOAC room.
He did, and I
Same
second
bad
what he
station.
said.
Okay.
I seconded.
Yes, good. How do you vote?
Oh, you're asking for my vote now. I vote yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 Carries. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your participation.
Hope Christian comes out okay.
We have openings.
Yeah, kinda. Aruba's pretty nice.
Thanks for your participation and patience.
Yeah, it's a lot to learn, a lot to
Yeah,
observe.
it's a lot of stuff
Thank
going
you so
on.
much,
We
appreciate
got
it.
a quart bottle and you can only put a quart in it. According to
An acronym? Oh, I'll try to stop them next time then.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, we'll try to catch that, because I don't, I
Whose
try
is
to.
this? Is this one of you guys?
That's mine. I was out there walking around the other day.
Oh, were you?
personal
That's the house that the guy doesn't want to light.
That's the tree she's talking about, too.
Sure it is.
Beach
It does look,
everyone.
I can't tell.
It's a beautiful tree.
It is, but it is in rough shape.
It is in rough shape.
Yeah.
It's a,
That's how.
well, the conversation.
We got asked.
Not saving
So,
that.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
would you accept a motion to table our meeting
There's
minutes?
an opening.
Yes.
There is. We have two
I
alternates.
can't remember their meeting minutes.
Did we call it the end of the meeting?
Yeah, we have to
Right.
table the minutes
I thought we were.
Where are they?
and then adjourn.
I don't have them in front of me. They're all mixed in.
Well,
I've got it here. I move that we table our meeting minutes from February 27th, 2025. That we table them and take them up at our
Yeah,
next
it's,
meeting.
Till whenever.
you know, well, it's
Aaron,
a
will
good
you-
fill
got a
out.
second?
Second.
Yes, second interview. but
Okay.
yeah,
Those in favor,
Yeah,
say
encourage
aye.
her to get-
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
How about an
Jen,
adjournment?
We're gonna table the meeting minutes, okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second,
I'll move in second, okay.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Yeah, aye. Thank you very much, everybody.
What happened?
Thank you
Oh,
for
already-
tuning in to
table the
Exeter
meeting minutes and we
TV.
adjourn.
Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.